Hey, we're live. Hey, everybody.
Are we? Are we truly alive? How can we tell?
It's a really, really good question, and I'm not entirely certain if there's a way to describe it, but we're live. We're ready to go. We're talking about some really interesting stuff today because today is our Wednesday show where we do kind of the weirder things. We're going to talk about a what if scenario today, and
I
that's going to be fascinating.
I do really wish GW would publish what if stories. They would be so much fun. Like, what if Gilliman had a girlfriend? I'd be all over that.
What if Gilliman had a family, like not just a girlfriend, but a family?
What if the Emperor listened to Erda for more than 15 seconds?
Right?
Wait, it says no audio.
Life would be very different. No audio. Can you not hear us? That's
Can
a
hear
problem.
just fine, and then somebody says no audio.
That's
Huh.
weird.
That might
Uh
be a problem with
it's
Twitch.
Twitch, yeah.
I'm getting set. Okay. Okay, never mind. Never mind. They got it. Just one person said no audio. Anyway, but that would, yeah. So today, we're talking about the Battle for Macragge, one of the most famous and kind of constantly changing wars that the Ultramarines fought the Tyranids with. Because when the Tyranids originally fought for the Battle of Macragge, they didn't have like the Swarm Lord and everything, and then they had to add that. They had to add that in, and then it wasn't a Carnifex; it was Swarm Lord, and now the Norn Emissary is there. So
Well, we should probably start from like the beginning and talk about like the historical event and then talk about what, the what ifs. If that's okay with you, that's kind of what I was thinking. But
yes, of course.
so one of the interesting things of note about the Battle of Macragge is that's actually the first time the Imperium faced a Hive fleet. They'd had Tyranid attacks before, but this was the first full-on Hive fleet that they encountered. It's called the First Tyrannic War for that reason.
I just it is also one of the scariest things because these bugs came out of absolutely nowhere, and Cripman had to get a communication across to the Ultramarines warning them about a threat coming, and the Ultramarines also just had to pay attention to an Inquisitor, which is eh, iffy at times.
Well, Calgar is a pretty smart guy, and Martin's Calgar was like, okay, this dude he's not just spouting weird theories. He's gotten a real threat that's coming, and we need to prepare for it. Which was good because there was a real threat coming.
Yes.
And it was headed right for Macragge, which is the home world of the Ultramarines chapter, the seat of power for Ultramar, and a very important planet in the whole Segmentum Ultima, really.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Whoops, I didn't mean to click that. So let's go over like pre. Well, for one, what are the Tyranids? The Tyranids are an intergalactic space bug that are hell bent on eating all life in the Milky Way galaxy. They come from outside the galaxy, and there are several theories as to what they originally were or where they came from. But needless to say, they are an ever evolving bug species that comes from outside the galaxy that wants to consume life. And yeah, they found a buffet with the Imperium.
Yeah, here's an interesting comment. Brock 6000 says, I was about to say, isn't Macragge pretty far into Imperial space? It is, but the Nids, they travel outside the galactic plane. They come in from different angles than you would expect.
Galactic plane,
Yeah.
the Tyranids.
or from above or from an angle.
Yeah.
But they because they come from outside the galaxy, they don't travel by the normal means. They don't use warp lanes. They don't use there's some accounts claim that they use sublight travel, but that doesn't seem like it would make any sense because how would you get anywhere? They have
There,
some form of propulsion that makes them interstellar capable.
so we do know how they have faster than light travel, and it's thanks to Gene Stealer cults building a giant hive ship above their planet that alters gravity waves to the hive fleet itself and pulls it along it to the planet. That is from the 5th edition Gene Stealer Cult Codex.
Fifth edition, probably
No, sixth. Yeah,
probably
sixth
close.
edition.
Okay, I was
When they
gonna say
first came out, it's when the Gene Stealers first came out.
okay. The
But
Gene
other
Stealer
than
cults,
that,
yeah.
yeah, the Gene Stealer cult. But other than that, they don't have faster than light travel. They actually travel incredibly slow. It's why once you kill a hive fleet, you're safe for like a few hundred years because it's going to take them a few hundred years. Though if you applied real world physics, it would take them thousands of years to travel. But yeah, whatever.
This setting, like many others, starts to break down if you apply logic too rigorously. It is space fantasy, not science fiction. Anyway, so Macragge is targeted, and Calgar figures this out. He has a few weeks. He gathers together as many Ultramarine ships as that he can, sends out communiques across the segmentum looking for assistance, and they build a pretty sizable defense fleet. And they also decide to reinforce their polar fortresses, the North Polar and the Southern Polar Fortress. Why are these fortresses important? Alexis, why are the polar fortresses important?
That's a good question. They're just kind of the last bastions, and
Be- because
not
they
the fortresses.
control the orbital defenses.
Oh yeah, they control the two big space stations that are on both sides of the planet itself.
And they also have, like, I want to say they have ground to orbit lasers and stuff like that.
Yep.
Uh, anyway, they're significantly important to the defense of the planet, the North and South fortresses. And so what the Ultramarines commander does, Martinus Calgar, he puts the first company, the entire first company, which is all Terminators, the most veterans of the chapter, puts them at both those locations, but then surrounds them with the auxilia, the essentially the Astra Militarum of Ultramar, which is extremely well trained, well disciplined, but just men and women with las guns, basically. So you have large amounts of human soldiers and then a small cadre of the elite at both the North and South polar fortresses. So quick question from Cabo. Cabo-y? Cabo. I'm going to go with Cabo. Is each hive fleet its own entity, or are fleets coordinated by a hive mind somewhere? Alexis?
Okay. It depends. All right. So the hive mind is a vast and very, very powerful psychic like brain that reaches out from all of the hives themselves. But each hive can act independently of its own. So while yes, they are all controlled by the hive mind, individual hive fleets can attack each other if they sense a weakness or corruption within the hive fleet itself. There is a hive fleets have fought each other where a hive fleet was smaller and the other hive fleet just came from a battle. So it was depleted as well. So they just consumed each other and created a new hive fleet out of just killing each other. Um, but to say that it's multiple different versions is really weird because yes and no. It depends on the will of the certain synapse creatures at the time and how close they are to an ancient one and how close that ancient one is to a Norn queen.
It gets complicated, yeah. The short version is that hive fleets are mostly their own entity, in that they have their own kind of
They also have their own personalities.
They have their own colorations. They have their own style of
Adaptations.
deployments, their own adaptations. There is a hive fleet that's particularly good at Shadow in the Warp, for example. There's hive fleets that are particularly good at other things. It is, I don't believe it's known for, I believe it's suspected but not known to be true for a fact that there is some kind of intelligence directing all the hive fleets. I don't think that's known. I think that's just suspected, but
if we look at what little lore exists about the Norn queens, and keep in mind there is very, very little, and most of it is fan made. The Norn queens are the ones that control their hive fleets themselves, and then once one is killed, the hive fleets give birth to a bunch of Norn queens and then fire them out in all different directions so that the hive can survive the future. But we do know that the Norn queens control a hive, but they don't control the hive mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the hive mind is like it's like a euphemism for, in general, like the behavior of Tyranids, but it it's not like there's a guy out there who can explain. They don't have a Kerrigan, so they can't just tell us like what's going on. We don't know. A
And even
lot
if
of it
they
is guessing.
could, it would be far beyond. It would be like asking Cthulhu what he is.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you? Well, I am an entity. I am here and I am now. I am the great devourer.
So the Tyranid fleet reaches Macragge, bashes its way through the defense fleet, and lands mycetic spores, which are these big ass drop pod like spore devices that will land and unleash waves of Tyranids onto the planet. And Calgar splits his armies into three. He has one at the North Pole, one at the South Pole, and then he commands a third one, which kind of bounces back and forth, defending as much as they can. But ultimately, he gets pretty beaten up by the forces. He gets actually pretty badly wounded, and he retreats to orbit, where his wounds are seen to. But he's like, okay, I got to leave the planet to kind of fend for itself, while I and the fleet we try and destroy the bioships. Because if the Hive fleet isn't destroyed, they can just keep landing guys onto the planet down there.
It's also really funny to note that Kulker got his arms chopped and then his belly cut open and lived. Like, granted, the first company tried to, well, the first company veterans, the Victor's Guard, which would later become the Victor's Guard, they weren't that at the time, but the Victor's Guard ran in to try to stop them. They got surrounded by all these Hormagaunts that were on the ground that were dead originally, that they perceived as dead, came back to life, stopped all the Invictus, and then the Hive guards and everything came in, and the Swarm Lord just basically just chopped Colgar into pieces.
Well,
And then
the Swarm Lord doesn't show up yet. This is we're talking about Cold Steel Ridge, which is the first major conflict on Macragge.
oh yeah, he hasn't shown up yet, but he
No,
does.
the Swarm Lord shows up at the big climax, but we're not there yet. This is just the opening skirmishes, if you will. And Calgar, like I said, he gets wounded. He has to pull back, but the Hive fleet also pulls back from the planet because they're getting hammered by the defenses. The orbital defenses are getting hammered by the fleet. It's important to point out Macragge was the home world not only for the Ultramarines chapter, but for the Ultramarines, the Legion back in the Horus Heresy days. It was the headquarters of an entire segmentum. To say that it was well defended is putting it very mildly. It was extremely well defended. And they also had Titans down there. I mean, it was pretty big. It was a big show down at Cold Steel Ridge.
They also had the what is it? The Pride of Hera, the Baneblade.
Yeah, that shows up at the climax. That is a big deal for the Swarm Lord, is the Pride of Hera. So that's kind of like the opening skirmish is that part. This is not the battle for Macragge, by the way. That's just the opening skirmish. Then there's a part called the Siege of Macragge, which is where the polar fortresses are under assault. Calgar takes his fleet and goes and fights with all the major ships, and then they have to come back because the polar fortresses basically get overrun. Telion, the 10th company named character, the scout sergeant, he's like their big guy. He said everything changed when the Swarm Lord appeared. This is where we get the Swarm Lord. So the Swarm Lord is who's the Swarm Lord?
So before we get to that, what was Kulgar was expecting while he was fighting, and while the Ultramarines were fighting, is the Tyranids were acting like animals. They were acting like swarms coming at them and crashing into them and then dying, and then the Space Marines would have to take a step back. The swarm would come at them in waves, hit them again, and then the Space Marines would take a step back. And the Space Marines kind of got into this rhythm where they were fighting them back and forth, and then all of a sudden, something hit the planet, and the Tyranids stopped acting like animals and acted like Space Marines. Well, and by that I mean they started having like coordinated efforts. Their flanks were getting ambushed, and at the time, like once one flank was ambushed, the Space Marines would turn and try to go to that. Another flank would get ambushed, and they were just like, "Wait, what's happening? The Tyranids aren't acting like Tyranids." That's when Sergeant Telion discovered the Swarm Lord. The Swarm Lord is an alpha class Hive Tyrant. It is the Hive Tyrant of Hive Tyrants, also known as the Broodfather, which is really cool. Uh, I have a theory that it is one of the few male creatures in all of the Tyranids, and the rest of the Tyranids are either like asexual or female. But that's a theory, and GW will never answer that because they won't. But the Swarmlord showed up and started coordinating the Tyranids, and the Swarmlord is a four-armed, usually wielding bone scythes as these very large pseudo power swords. And I have to explain this a little bit. The weapon that the Tyranids use is a weapon made out of chitin, their own material, the bug armor that they're wearing, but it is infused with psychic energy. And in the old days, this would cut through you without an invo save. So it acted in the same way as a force weapon. So when it hit you, it blew you apart. And it wields four of these. The Swarm Lord is an extremely fast, extremely aggressive, and highly intelligent, very powerful psychic bug. It's also, three times the size of a space. Well, it's actually only twice the size of a space marine, the average space marine. So it's usually around like 15 to 20 feet tall, depending on if it rears back or if it's running forward like a T-Rex.
Yeah, I misspoke earlier. Cold Steel Ridge is the thing that you're talking about now, not what I was talking about earlier. And
Yeah.
things get confused in this thing. But anyway, yes, Cold Steel Ridge is the big moment when the Swarm Lord shows up, and he'd already led assaults on two different planets before this, so he'd had plenty of time to learn. But they also realized, the Hive Mind realized that Calgar was the core of the resistance. Like, everyone was being led by him, inspired by him, and so it kind of was like, okay, kill that guy in particular. And that's where they send the Swarm Lord down. Morning to Cresta says, "You cut Calgar? You cut Calgar like a steak? Oh, jail for the Swarm Lord. Jail for Storm Lord for 1,000 years." Yeah, I feel you, buddy. I feel you.
So, with the Swarm Lord's leadership, the Tyranids started pushing back the Planetary Defense Force. They pushed back all the Space Marines, and the Space Marines were having a lot of trouble reacting to the Swarm Lord.
It's important to point out, at the same time, the 3rd and 7th companies were deployed in their full totality, so 100 Space Marines, to the North Pole and the South Pole. And they were trying to fight their way down to the survivors, who were still like trying to hold off the massive waves of Tyranids that are trying to take out the polar fortresses. And what they found was that the first company had died to the last man defending those fortresses. Every single member of the first company had died back to back, shoulder to shoulder.
Now, what's in the first company of the Ultramarines is a ton of Terminators, Stern Guard veterans, Vanguard veterans, technically the Victress Guard, but they're kind of their own thing. But yeah, they're kind of first company, and the company heroes. So the banner bearer of the first company was also dead. They killed the Emperor's champion. Well, the company champion. They killed so much, and this was a massive blow to the Space Marines because this hasn't happened since like battles with like entire forces of chaos, but they never lost an entire company.
So
The Tyranids blasted them.
well, they lost more than a company, because they lost the entire first company, but they also lost most of 3rd and 7th getting to them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not counting Calgar's group, which now we're about to talk about Calgar's group, where he is fighting alongside the mighty Baneblade Pride of Hera. Do you want to talk? You mentioned this earlier, so I'd like you to talk about how the Baneblade Pride of Hera gets what happens to it.
So we have to describe a Baneblade. All right.
It's a giant tank.
What if you took a tank, put a tank on top of it, put that tank on top of a Gustav, and then took that tank and rolled it into battle somehow, and the ground could support it? The Baneblade is a 2-story tank with the massive Baneblade cannon, which is so powerful it's used as a space turret, which I always found super amusing. It also has a Demolisher cannon, which is designed specifically for breaking apart fortresses, and it has tons and tons of secondary weapon systems. It can have up to 4 heavy bolters. The Pride of Hera only has 2 on the sides. It has a las cannon turret on top of that, and in its front hull, it also has another heavy bolter. They're all twin heavy bolters, so it has 6 heavy bolters on it, 2 las cannons on it, a Baneblade cannon, a Demolisher cannon, an auto cannon, and there is a quote from Dawn of War 2 that I absolutely no, Dawn of War 1 that I absolutely love. 11 barrels of hell.
Yeah, it's a mean giant tank. And so the how did the Swarmlord deal with it? Well, he summoned basically all these Trigons and Molochs and Raveners, which are burrowing Tyranids. Some of these, like the Moloch,
Subterranean assault, let's go.
yeah, Trigons are big. Molochs are even bigger than that, and they basically tore apart the trenches and the man defenses. So this is where the trenches get overrun. The Ultramarines commit all the reserves to fight off this mass overrunning, and that's when the Swarmlord sends in the Carnifexes to tear apart the Pride of Hera.
It's really funny. It would have been much more funny if it was the other way around. So it could have been the distraction Carnifexes and then Trigons destroyed it. But they used a whole bunch of Screamer Killer Carnifexes. Screamer Killers are typically 4 Scythe Carnifexes. They also use Crusher Stampedes, which are Carnifexes equipped with Crushing Claws, but they're even bigger Crushing Claws. So they have these Crushing Claws that take up all 4 of their arms, and they're 2 massive Crushing Claws that they use to destroy heavy vehicles. And the use for this was literally to destroy the Fortress of Hera. These creatures were designed specifically to kill that tank. And it took an entire brood of them, which at the time was 8. Now a brood is like 2 at a time, which is kind of lame. But I'm still going with a bigger and more impressive number. So it took a bunch of Carnifexes to actually tear this tank apart, and it fought to the very end, just using all of its ammunition, fighting to the last until it finally fell.
So the burrowing creature assaults to lure out the reserves and then strike at his true target. That's one example of the Swarmlord's ability to command his forces. But the second one, I think, is actually even more impressive, because when he launches his attack on Calgar specifically, there had been just piles of dead Tyranids, just piles, like as far as the eye could see on this ridge of mountains in Macragge. You're talking about hundreds of dead, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of dead Tyranids. And what the Swarmlord had done he had basically commanded his guys to pretend to be dead. So when he launches his assault on Macragge, there's a silent signal sent out by the Swarmlord, and all these hidden Tyranids in the piles of dead Tyranids get up and attack, and it's a surprise assault that fends off everybody, so that it's just the Swarmlord versus Calgar and his honor guard. And that's when the Swarmlord unleashes his 4 bone size, chews up the honor guard, takes essentially TKO's Calgar.
But don't worry, he got better.
And the only thing that saved him at the end was a wave of Thunderhawk gunships flying in from the battle barge overhead that basically cut a swath through the battle and deployed to have the honor guard pick up Calgar's body and load it on and get the hell out of there. So Cold Steel Ridge is technically a loss for the Space Marines.
They also sacrificed the captain of the Victress Guard at the time to get Calgar back, because all the Victress that were with him were surrounded by Hormagaunts, and then the captain of the Victress Guard, which would later become Cato Sicarius.
No, this is brother Aloysius. He died.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, because the other captain dies against Tyranids later, right?
If you're talking about the polar fortresses, that's different. So
okay, yeah, I got them mixed up. Sorry. But this dude just sacrifices himself to try to fight the Swarmlord. In the original lore, the Swarmlord does die. Well, the Carnifex, because it was a Carnifex in the original lore, the Carnifex dies there. And then in the 7th edition lore, prior to the Swarmlord's introduction, it was a Hive Tyrant. And then once the Swarmlord was introduced, they made it the Swarmlord that killed him.
So you might be thinking, well, is this the Battle of Macragge? Well, it's a big part of the Battle of Macragge. Like if you want to talk about like the ground war for High Fleet Behemoth versus Ultramarines, Cold Steel Ridge is the big moment for that. So that is one way to look at it, is the Battle of Macragge is there. But actually, the defeat of High Fleet Behemoth occurred in space. The fleet that Calgard put together, the fleet that Calgard put together had been pursuing the High Fleet, basically trying to keep it at bay. And they were having kind of a stalemate. But when Battlefleet Bacca arrives, Battlefleet Bacca is a Imperial Navy fleet from Segmentum Tempestus.
How is Bacca spelt?
Bakka.
So
like Daka,
Battlefleet
just with a B.
Stupid showed up.
No, that's Battlefleet Bacca. That's different than Bacca.
Okay, let's just
like Daka, but with a B. So Battlefleet Bacca.
It would be really funny if it was Battlefleet Stupid showed up.
I mean, weirder things. I mean, it's possible that they were trying to pull something like that, because naming conventions in Warhammer can get silly. But this Battlefleet shows up to help, and now the High Fleet's trapped between two forces, and they're still holding off everybody. And the only way that they won is there's this ringed world called Circe at the very edge of the Macragge system, and a Emperor class battleship, which is one of the largest, one of the biggest, one of the strongest vessels in the Imperial Navy. Note, I said Imperial Navy. There are bigger and stronger ships than an Emperor class battleship. But this is one of the biggest ones that the Navy has. It charges in ahead of everybody else, gets in the middle of the High Fleet, and detonates its warp engines, which sucks the entire High Fleet and it into the warp. There is
one thing. The ship itself, the Emperor class battleship Dominus Astra, was the ship, and it was critically damaged at the time. It wasn't making it out.
This was a suicide run to do it.
And the sacrifice of this ship is super significant because an Emperor class battleship takes so long to rebuild.
There's very few of them.
there are a few of them. They take centuries to build, and sometimes you just find them.
And so that the action at Circe is the end of High Fleet Behemoth as a High Fleet. Splinters of the High Fleet remained and were problems for years afterwards, but the High Fleet as a High Fleet was done. It had expended everything. All of its biomass had been used to create warriors that were sent down to Macragge and died. The remaining ships used up all of their biomass making torpedoes and fighters to fight off two different fleets, and then the main force just got sucked into the warp and was gone, destroyed. So yeah, that's essentially the historical record of the Battle of Macragge. Now, Alexis, go ahead.
I do want to add just a few things to this.
Mm-hmm.
The Imperial Navy ships were outmaneuvering the Tyranids, which is why the Imperial Navy was doing so well against them. And without the aid of the Imperial Navy, Macragge still would have fallen. Like, the Space Marine vessels are not designed to fight Tyranids. They're designed to fight Chaos vessels. They're designed to fight other Imperial vessels. They're really good at fighting Eldar vessels. But they absolutely are atrocious at fighting Tyranids, because Tyranids want them up close. They want to do boarding actions. They want you to board them. And Space Marine vessels specialize in boarding actions. That's their main thing. They jump aboard your ship, destroy your engine, destroy your deck, jump back. Your ship is wrecked. Then they continue and do it to the next ship. But with Tyranids, they're just like, oh, they're going to jump aboard us. Awesome.
Yeah.
But the Imperial Navy has the longer range guns, the bombardment cannons in mass. And without their help and the sacrifice of the Emperor class battleship, they would have lost.
Yeah, Mornington Crescent points out there was an entire board game about boarding Tyranid ships. There was.
Yes.
I believe it was called High Fleet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. It was. There's three that I can think of that are all about the Battle for Macragge that were board games. And then there's the Battle for the Macragge tabletop expansion for Warhammer, which is the worst starter set that GW has ever released because it's one tactical squad, one Navy officer that was not usable by any force, and some spore mines, gaunts, and a few gene stealers. And what's important about that set, the story in that set is that while the polar fortresses were being assaulted, that guy was handed the gene seeds of the Ultramarines to get back up to their ships. And while he was flying up in his not his Arvis Lighter, his Aquila Lander, it was shot down, and third company had to actually go in and save him.
Insert Corey there says Space Marine boarding action. Tyranids. Hey, our DoorDash just got here.
Yeah.
Food's here, guys. Yeah, I love it.
The other super important thing about the Battle for Macragge is the first instance of the Tyranid Carnifex known as Old One Eye showed up. Old One Eye is a Tyranid that fought the Devastator Company. I think that's 7th Company. And had its eye blown out by a plasma cannon and kept fighting. Eventually it froze and died, but bioresearchers took the body of Old One Eye that was frozen aboard their ship and flew it to another planet. And lo and behold, it broke out and invaded that world. And then the Hive fleet eventually gained knowledge of the legend of Old One Eye and now produces Carnifexes with the defect as psychological warfare.
You're thinking of the 9th Company, which is the
9th Company, yeah. The relief effort came in and fought it.
So the battle for Macragge could have been lost at a bunch of different points. It could have been lost at Cold Steel Ridge, could have been lost at Cersei, could have been lost if the polar fortresses had been taken earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So there's at least 3. I can look and see 3 points of failure. Can you see another point of failure?
2 more.
All right.
The first is if GW was going to release the Gene Stealer cult at the time, the Gene Stealer cult infiltrated all of them. And I'm talking the Gene Stealer cult were part of the Planetary Defense Force from the beginning. The Gene Stealer cult were in both the polar fortresses, sabotaging all of their defenses. So I think the Gene Stealer cult needs to be an option on there, as well as an ancient one showing up. So for those of you that don't know, the Ancient One is the ship that the Norn Queen rides on. It is one of the biggest Hive ships in the entire Hive, and it is the thing that distorts all space around it. Like, its presence is massive.
So is that may be part of their faster than life travel, if it's distorting gravity.
I think that's like, I don't know if that affects real space or it affects things coming in and out of the warp. It's very unclear whether it does either. And GW has never written about it again.
So, we basically need to, I think we should do a poll and pick 4 failure points to say at which point do we want to talk about the battle failing. Another possible one is that they never get warned by Cryptman and they're just not
Cryptman
ready.
Dies.
So what 4 do you want to pick for the poll? That's the question.
Yep. So somebody comment the 4 that you want selected, and then we'll put the poll up. But while you guys are doing all that, we have a new member that joined us.
Hey, welcome, Ricky Chapman.
And then we got a super chat from Super Orlock, who did this before the show even started.
Hey, Super Orlock. Fan theory. The shadow in the warp is a defense mechanism so that the hive mind doesn't have to worry about getting swept into the great game.
If you go by the they're controlled by that one Satan, this kind of works. But I've never liked the idea that they ate a Satan and that's why they're what they are. But I could actually see this. I could see this. And then we have one from Elemental Exposer 3730. What's bigger, Leviathan or Baal or Behemoth or at Smurfland?
Good question.
So I am going to say that Leviathan at Baal was way bigger.
I'm going to agree with that.
And my reasoning is Behemoth took 1 company to 4 companies to fight it. Leviathan took 10 different to 11 different chapters of Blood Angels to fight it.
Yeah, and they still almost losing. Lost. Yeah. Yeah,
They
I
get a
think Leviathan
demon
was bigger.
ally.
So the failure points are Cold Steel Ridge, the Polar Fortresses, the Cersei Void War. Oh, Kabo. Thank you, sir. Awesome holiday 40K shirt. Thank you.
That
This
is a really nice shirt.
I have more, and I will be showing them throughout this month. Happy holidays to you both, and thanks for doing Lorebeards 40K. Hey, thank you, man. Without you guys, we couldn't do it.
Hell yeah. All right, so you were listing the options.
The failure points are Cold Steel Ridge, where Mark Calgar gets cut down, Polar Fortresses, Cersei, the Void War. What's the fourth one? We get one more option.
Wait, so you did Polar War. You
Polar.
did Battle. Gene Stealer. Did you do Gene Stealer Infestation?
No. You wanted to make that the fourth one?
Yeah, I think that one needs to be the fourth one.
All right. So the poll is going up. Everybody vote on where the battle for Macragge is lost. Is it lost in space, on the ground? Is it lost before they even get there?
I still want to say I do wish the Gene Stealer cult were retroactively added to the Battle for Macragge. It's very strange that they weren't. And I'm talking Gene Stealer cult. We do know the Gene Stealers were active during the Battle for Macragge, but I'm strictly talking the cult itself. I think that would have been really cool.
So Uwu Owo Snuggle Wuggle Nyanya says, I always thought that they were the outsider, not ate the outsider.
There are two theories about the Tyranids. Well, there's like a billion different theories, but the popular ones are: one, the outsider went and got the Tyranids to attack and kill the old ones. I'm not a big fan of this theory because the outsider's dead, so it doesn't really make too much sense. The other one is, again, the outsider escaped outside the galaxy, and then the Tyranids devoured him. And once they devoured him, they gained sentience and came to real space or the Milky Way. Both these series I'm not a big fan of. I like the idea that they're just a hive mind. Like, if they're not going to give them a Macragge, I like them to just be this external monster that is just evil. And yes, the Tyranids are evil. They do not feed to because they're hungry. They feed strictly to make more Tyranids and devour more life.
They're space locusts.
If they really wanted to actually adapt and gain more energy, they would turn into flowers that would go around suns for billions of years until the sun explodes.
So Uwu Owo Snuggle Wuggle Nyanya also says, Behemoth wasn't particularly known for Gene Stealer cults, I thought. Maybe, but here's the thing. The Battle for Macragge, as Alexis pointed out, has changed from its initial description.
Yeah.
And so why not? Like, we can always add that in. And we're already in what if territory here. We're talking about what if this battle failed. So I don't see it that it's not that much of a stretch to say, like, well, what if they had some Gene Stealer cults there? Because Gene Stealers were definitely there on Macragge, to be very clear. Gene Stealers were absolutely there. So why not is, I think, a good answer in this case. So do we want to end the poll?
Yeah, we can end the poll. We're probably going to talk about each one of them, but let's see which one they want to hear about first. Also, look at that cat.
Kovu. He's so comfy over there.
Yep.
He's a very comfy cat. All right, we're ending the poll. Okay, so poll says Gene Stealer Infestation.
Oh, I love Gene Stealers so much. So, my thought is this. While Kryptman was studying the Tyranids themselves, he didn't realize that the Tyranids were also studying him. And in doing so, in the samples that he took to study, he accidentally took a Gene Stealer, or he took somebody infected with a Gene Stealer. Gene Stealers love the idea of having a person with one of the Gene Stealer things inside them, where I'm not going to get into the whole brutality of what the Gene Stealers do. Needless to say, they make more Gene Stealers using humans. We're not going to talk about how they do that, but they do that. And then those people have an innate understanding of what they are, and they try to run from the planet and use everything that they possibly can to infect other worlds.
Well, so it takes time. different
Yes,
generations want to
but
leave.
these are the ones that are going to plant the gene stealer there.
Sure.
Now, there are multiple different ways that this happens. One is the implanted person goes to another world, and then that gene stealer is born. They take care of it, and then it starts the cult. The next is the gene stealer itself is the one that hides, or the Tyranids shoot out spores into space that contain gene stealers, which usually end up on space rocks and other like space hulks and things of that nature. The orcs also, this is debatable, still canon, but the orcs used to capture those and spread them around to other planets because gene stealers put up a good fight, which is still some of my favorite old lore. I don't know if that's canon
I
anymore.
don't think so.
I
Yeah.
kind of want it to be because it's funny. Um, but needless to say, gene stealers have made it to Macragge. Let's just say Kripman was evacuating a planet, somebody was infected. They flew those survivors to Macragge, and this was while he was studying the Tyranid. So he didn't even know about the gene stealers yet. So the gene stealers got to Macragge, and generations go by. So there's a full cult of gene stealers there. This would have to happen while Tigurius is away.
Yeah.
So let's just, for this what if to work, Tigurius gets sent somewhere else. He's, you know what?
Armageddon.
He's looking for Titus at the time. Because that is part of Tigurius's lore.
Yeah, but this, okay, so to be clear, Battle for Macragge is like 200 or 200-ish years before Space Marine 1, I think, even.
Yeah, it is. It's close. I forget the exact year Space Marine 1, but I know in Titus's lore it does mention that he didn't make it to the Battle for Macragge.
Okay, so maybe so actually it might fit in perfectly with that.
But let's just say
Tigurius he's off looking for Titus. Planet.
He's
looking for Titus. Sure,
he's doing his own thing. So the gene stealer cult has a generation or two to grow, and it starts infecting like the planetary nobility. It starts going for positions of power. It starts going. Also, Titus is canonically like 400 real world years, and then he's a few hundred more because of stasis.
Time gets weird.
Time is weird. I mean, Admiral Spire is fucking almost 1,000 because he was in the warp for 800 years. But we're not going to go there. Anyway, needless to say, they start infecting, admirals of the Imperial Navy because they can get up there with the space elevators and everything and actually start becoming part of the Imperial Navy, working up the ranks because that's what gene stealers do. The planet has a production boom because that's something that gene stealers actually do. They make the planets like super like well organized and everything. If they have a couple of generations to do so, there's a really funny tidbit about Inquisitors knowing that a planet is infected with gene stealers, going down there every now and then, killing the patriarchs, coming back up, and just letting the planet be as efficient as it is. So Macragge has a little bit of a boom of working on everything as the gene stealers infect everything. So the gene stealers start knowing that the hive mind is coming because they instinctively know that. It's never really explained. They just know it. So they start sabotaging certain things. And one of the first things that they're going to sabotage is the polar fortresses. They're going to sabotage the Fortress of Hera. They're going to sabotage the Titans' landing zones. They're going to sabotage certain big pieces of equipment, and they're going to sabotage and open up gates and learn everything they can about Macragge before sacrificing themselves to the Tyranids. And this is going to be a massive blow because all of the leadership within the Planetary Defense Force just vanished, just is gone.
So I like where you come with this. I think if I could offer just a little bit of what might be the reaction is I'm pretty sure that Telion, if nobody else, would get an idea that something's wrong.
Yes.
But because Tigurius is off the planet, and because they have not fought Hive fleets before, I think what Tigurius is going to suspect is that it's a planet-wide rebellion, like some sort of rebellion against the upper class of Macragge is forming. And so I imagine that might have a similar result, whereas people are looking at not at the orbital defenses, but at the planet and going, why is this happening? How do we, investigating, doing sweeps and purges, and just none of it's effective is the thing. I think it would be,
Yeah.
but I think they would be noticed, and I think there would be actions taken. Let's put
I
it
think
that
they
way.
would be noticed, but it would be almost too late. Like sabotages would have happened at this point. And then the Tyranid Hive fleet would have shown up. And without the aid of the polar fortresses, because they're sabotaged at this point, without the aid of the Fortress of Hera, without the aid of the knights or titans that were there, I actually don't think knights were there. But regardless, without the aid of anything there, like they could have even gone after the astropaths, which would have been a huge thing. If they found out about the astropaths and killed them, then you wouldn't have Kolgar forming a massive fleet. You would have just the liberator groups, and you would have to fight an entire Hive fleet worth of ships. So that's where my defeat of it is. But let's hear yours.
Well, so to further go along, I think when Critman does show up to warn Calgar, Critman probably is going to be like, "Oh shit, you've got a Gene Stealer cult problem." But by then, the Hive fleet is only weeks out, so it is essentially too late. At that point, the Macragge is already seething with violence and unrest, and you probably those big auxiliary forces that supported the first company at the Polar Fortresses, those are vastly diminished because of guys turning into G Stealers, guys getting killed, guys thinking that they're rising up for whatever reason, because the G Stealer cults can be very persuasive.
They can be persuasive. Also, now the Space Marines have Gene Stealers and Aberrants to deal with.
Right. They've got Brood Brothers and all that stuff going on.
Like
Maguses.
They have the Hive. They have a Gene Stealer cult to deal with. On top of now, there's Tyranids.
Right. So that tips an already precarious position into unable to hold. So when the Hive fleet arrives and gets down to the planet and it starts assaulting those polar fortresses, they can't hold out like they could have before. And the Gene Stealers basically do exactly what they're meant to do: drain all the resources, divert all the attention, and make it to where it's just too late to fight back.
And the worst part is because all the Gene Stealer cultists are linked psychically, the second one of them gets eaten by a Tyranid, the Tyranid gains all of that knowledge. So it knows now all of the weaknesses.
Well, synapse creatures might. Most Tyranids are just feral beasts, but some of the synapse creatures can figure it out.
Once the hive mind figures it out.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's the thing. Why don't we look at a couple super chats and then talk about the follow-on effects of losing the Battle of Macragge?
Alrighty.
Ricky Chapman, 3377. Woo! The book Death Wilder did the Swarm Lord justice. There's also the Graham McNeil novel. Is that Honor the Chapter? What is that?
I think it's Honor the Chapter.
It is called The Chapters Due. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
The Chapters Due. So I need to read that one. I also need to read Death Wilder because those sound really good. Thank you, Ricky Chapman. And we have another one. We have Web Chef 3038. Love these convos. Please keep them coming. Different topic. Who's your favorite custodian? Short answer is going to be for me Constantine Valdor.
What is it? What is Leia's boyfriend's name?
Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah,
it's got to be him.
Valerian and the Thousand Heretics.
Yep. I love him so much.
All right. So
so
Alexis,
what do you think is the aftermath of the Gene Stealers and the Swarm beating? Let's do this quick, and then let's get the poll back up to see what other options they want.
Well, I feel like this is going to be. Well, the poll already we know what the answers are. Like they vote there, it shows you the percentages.
Yeah.
But the losing Macragge, first of all, like what are the follow-on effects of losing Macragge? So, number one, the Primarch's body is on Macragge.
Yes, and this is
Gilliman's body.
Him being awoken.
Right. So I feel like the Ultramarines would fight, maybe not to the last man, but they would fight as hard as they possibly could to keep Macragge out of the hands of Hive Fleet Behemoth. Would they be successful? Probably not, given that Calgar would almost certainly be dead.
Yep.
And a lot of their so in the normal timeline they lost 3 company or 2.5 companies worth of Space Marines. In this timeline they're losing maybe double
Probably
that,
6 to like 8.
so a lot. So I imagine that the Ultramarines would be nearly wiped out at the end of this, trying to hold off losing Macragge, because it's their Primarch, it's their homeworld, it's the center of the segmentum. But they fail, right? That's the interesting thing, is they fail this. So the Tyranids eat a Primarch. That's number one, is what the fallout. Tyranids eat a Primarch. That's bad, y'all. That's real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, the Hive Fleet wouldn't be destroyed like it was in the normal timeline.
It would actually rebuild.
Behemoth being a thing basically dooms the Tau. They're screwed. The Tau Empire would be nom-nom-nommed. A couple of Necron dynasties would be nom-nom-nommed. The Jericho Reach, where I wrote the Deathwatch setting, would basically be screwed because they're right there. They only fought a splinter of Hive Fleet Behemoths, so fighting the whole thing, that would be bad. So you'd lose the Tau Empire, you'd lose the Ultramarines, you'd lose Guilliman. You'd lose the Kroot. You'd also lose the Era Indomitus in general. Would be so hundreds of years later, when the Era Indomitus begins, the last surviving handful of Ultramarines are like, well, this sucks. Too bad there's nobody here to do anything about it.
There is still a chance that your Vrain magics Guilliman back, but in this case, it might actually be the Lion she goes after instead of Guilliman.
Yeah, that's a. So first, like, if Vrain is a priestess of the god of the dead, so resurrecting the dead is kind of her thing, but Guilliman wasn't fully dead. He was just mostly dead.
They had to kill him.
They had to finish him off.
Yeah.
So could Vrain resurrect a devoured Primarch? That's question one.
Okay. All right. If we want to get into some obscure Tyranid lore. Okay. So, the Doom of Malantai.
Who is that, first of all?
The Doom of Malantai is a special named zoanthrope that is still a thing in the lore, but it no longer has a model, but is still mentioned in the current codex. So I assume that all of its previous stuff is still canon. The Doom of Malantai got its name from Malantai and its doom. Go figure.
So Malantai is a Eldari
craft world. Yeah. This thing devoured the engine, the spirit engine, or what is it called?
The Infinity Circuit.
Infinity Circuit, and devoured the souls. It pulled the souls out and ate them.
So it's very psychically powerful. Very psychically powerful.
So, if we wanted to throw up a little bit more theory, it's adding that the soul to its own psychic potential, and that's how it gets stronger. And even in game mechanics, the more souls it sucked out, the stronger the zoanthrope character got, the stronger the Doom Malantai got. And it was a stupidly broken unit. But if the Doom of Malantai was the one that ripped out Guilliman's soul, and then the body was devoured, there isn't anything to revive. You might go to Fabius Bile to clone him at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, so we do have a quote here that's kind of interesting. Goncalo Vicente, Gonzalo Vicente. I'm going to say that. Would they attempt to take Guilliman's body off of Macragge? Would it even be possible? They would attempt. They certainly would. Is it possible? No. Well, they could get him. They could get his body off, and his body would then die because it would come out of the stasis.
So
they could save his soul. Could they save his soul from the Hive Fleet? Maybe.
So the only reason that I would say no at this point is because they cannot do warp travel. and they would have to rely on their engines to get away far enough from the Tyranids. So they'd have to sail for a few years before they could jump away from the Tyranids, because when you're within the shadow of the warp, you cannot jump into the warp. It simply won't work, or
Well,
it'll blow you to pieces.
yeah, you can't see the Astronomicon.
Yeah.
I like this answer here. What happens if the Tyranids eat Gilliman? Tyranids stop eating people and start doing taxes. Ducky 9090. Well done, sir. That's funny. I dig it.
Yeah, that is.
Uh,
So without that, let's see what else would have happened. Uh the 13th Black Crusade would still break Cadia. It would actually break Cadia a little easier because Belisarius Cawl would still be working on the Primaris project and not at Cadia. Because he wasn't ordered to go back and forth at the time.
right, yeah. So that takes Call out of the picture, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Cadia falls, and then Abaddon has to face off against multiple full Tyranid hives.
Well,
which the Tyranids are well adapted to fighting demons.
so the Behemoth still being around is enormously significant, because like I said, that's the end of the Tau. That's the end of Necron dynasties. It's the end of the segmentum. The ultimate segmentum would basically have a Hive fleet at the center of it, which is a very bad thing.
Hear me out. I know a way that we could save this. The Tau dupe the orcs into fighting the Tyranids again.
Octavian War Part 2. Arctarius War Part 2.
But if they could get a big enough Wa, like Gosgul's Wa, or any of the big war bosses, they might be able to fight back Hive Fleet Behemoth.
Well, the Octarius War did not go well, to be clear, for the Imperium. So it was a temporary delaying tactic that was ultimately a long-term bad idea.
But in this case, it might be the only idea that might slow them down.
I mean, maybe Hive Fleet's. So yeah, I don't know. Like Hive Fleet Behemoth still being around is just shocking to even contemplate, because it would be gorged on all the biomass from Macragge.
Yep.
So much biomass.
Worlds.
Oh my god, yeah, it would be just enormous. So I have a feeling like this may doom the Imperium long term, not short term. But losing Macragge, that puts the entire segmentum into chaos, not small c chaos, not the big C chaos. It throws a lot of plans out of the window. You lose the anchor of Ultramar and the Ultramarines, which holds together that entire segmentum. Like I said, you'd have a giant power vacuum down in the galactic south. Yikes. I mean, like, and then, by the time the Era Indomitus rolls around, very little of that would have recovered. Very little. Because right, the Hive Fleet Behemoth is still running around.
I got a poll that we need to put up. Who would stop? Who do you think would stop Hive Fleet Behemoth at this point?
All right, I'll put up that poll.
Because it's got to be one of four things. It's got to be the orcs. It's got to be the Tau. They have fought back entire Hive fleets before. I think it
small could be Hive fleets.
A Hive fleet's a Hive fleet. A win's a win. Give it to them.
All right. So Tau is one option.
Who else is operating down there? Typhus is Death Guard. So the Death Guard. Or Abaddon.
What about orcs? Is the third?
Yeah, orcs are the third.
Fourth, or so orcs. Orcs. An orc. I'll just put an orc wog.
I don't think Necrons would have awoken yet, because they
would get devoured. That's my point. Is they wouldn't even they would just barely roll out of bed and be like that guy in the meme. Oh, it's happening! Oh God! And Tyranids everywhere.
Oh, and to put people's minds at ease, the Necrons. It is debated whether or not the Tyranids do eat the Necrons. They can use their minerals for their spaceships, and living metal goes back and forth on whether or not it is or isn't organic. So the Tyranids could actually devour the living metal regardless, because they could devour rock and everything. They use the minerals for everything. But if they know that Necrons are awakening on a planet, Tyranids do tend to avoid them. But that's mostly due to the Blackstone and not the Necrons themselves.
Noctilith, yeah.
Yeah. But if the Necrons pose a threat, the Tyranids would just simply slam the planet and kill them.
So let's we got a couple super chats we can read while the poll's up.
Yes, of course. Let's get those.
Ricky Chapman 3377, you are my hero. Thank you so much for supporting us. Orcs spreading gene stealers is still a thing a group of snake bites are doing. Are they doing it on purpose, or are they doing it because it's funny, or are they doing it because they just don't know any better? All three of those options are possible with orcs. Love it. Thanks for bringing that up.
All three could also be true simultaneously. Maybe one of them knows what they're doing.
So the snake bites, for people who don't know, the orcs have clans, and the snake bites, I think, are the very primitive clan, the one that prefers, riding cybernetically enhanced pigs instead of motorcycles.
That's the beast snaggers.
Right, but that's the clan is the snake bites, I think.
I think he has his own sub clan.
Well, anyway,
yeah.
I believe the snake bites are the
I think he is a snake bite though.
I think the snake bites are the most primitive version of the orcs, the space orcs. So, what other ones we got here? Hooligan Mulligan, thank you, sir. It's good to see you. Blueberry smoothies and blue jeans for everyone. Nice.
Heck yeah.
All right, good one. Yeah, there'd be a lot of blue. The Hive Fleet Behemoth would have a very distinct cerulean color coming out of this.
They'd also have this weird U on their shoulders.
Super Orlock, you're back. Good seeing you. Thank you for supporting us. Well, it seems like the wolf times are upon us, boys. Rust returns.
I didn't even think of that.
I mean, wow. Yeah, that'd do it. That'd be an interesting way to get Russ back, would be to have him show. I heard that one of my brothers has been killed. And devoured. All right, any others? Or is that it?
That was it.
All right, let's go check the poll.
Try to hide that real quick. Boop.
So we're going to end the poll in about 30 seconds. Get your final votes in there. Alexis, can you think of another follow-on effect besides Gilliman that would be a big problem, besides losing the segmentum?
Ooh. Oh, I just thought of something. You know who would save Gilliman?
Who?
Trazeen.
So that's how we get the Necrons involved. Trazeen shows up, like, I need him for my collection.
Actually, he might awaken the dynasties too.
I mean, he didn't do it for Cadia, and Chaos is a much bigger bad guy for the Necrons than Tyranids are. So I don't know if he'd do it.
Because he didn't like the ones around Cadia.
Okay, Trazyn might might just awaken the dynasties.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. All right, well, we didn't put Trazyn on this poll. Maybe we'll put him on the next one. So the poll's ended, and survey says Tau and Orcs are tied as the top two answers.
Well, I know exactly how this is going to work. The Tau are the ones that contact the Orcs, promising them a really good fight.
So Tau Empire plus Orcs is what stops Hive Fleet Behemoth in the end.
Now, we do know in the Tau lore, they have defeated Hive Fleets before, and the Tau are really good at studying things. So they would try to develop strategies against the Tyranids that might actually work. Keep in mind, the Tau were really, really good at fighting the Imperium, regardless of the ever-changing tactics and everything. The Tau fought them back, and they were outnumbered 10-1. So being outnumbered 100-1, the Tau can figure it out. So this is actually this is a joke post, but they would do this. They would probably figure out how to make what is the fourth round? Hellfire.
Mutagenic acid.
Yeah, they would probably figure out how to make that and then just pump it out like crazy and then just hand it to the Orcs to go and shoot things with.
Well, it's possible that the Inquisition could show up to give them that technology.
I mean, if the Inquisition is desperate enough, yeah.
Well, Cryptman is desperate enough. We know that.
Yes.
Cryptman is more than desperate enough. He'd be like, yeah, here's the mutagenic acid. You guys go do this.
Here's the exact schematics. Wait, isn't owning this heretical?
Micah says Trazyn would do anything for getting a perfectly intact Primarch. Good point. I think we can say that Gilliman's final fate would be Trazen's collection. That I don't see how anybody could stop Trazen from doing that.
Oh my god, he would make the trade with your brain.
So in the Area Indomitus, it's Trazen with Gilliman, and instead of being surrounded by Ultramarines, he's surrounded by Necrons.
No, because like, all right, hear me out. Trazen has been known to trade with people of other races and everything. He wouldn't want to see humanity destroyed. And he knows that he could take back Gilliman whenever he wants. So, trading it to Yvraine for a favor or for something from them, like a solitaire or a couple of Harlequins, I could see her doing. Or, even better, trading, what's his name? What's the Vect? Trading Vect for Gilliman and then reviving Gilliman.
Poor Vect.
Or the Avatar of Cain.
Well, my Mornington Crescent has a comment on that. I would like an Avatar of Cain, please. Everyone else has punched one. So I think in this timeline, if High Fleet Behemoth is in fact destroyed by the Tau and the Orcs, that the Ultramarines would be restored in kind of a fashion not unlike Bale, where they would just kind of put out the call, like all successor chapters, we're going to rebuild the chapter, come home, and we'll pick kind of the best from you guys.
Yep, I could see them doing that. They could rebuild their numbers pretty quick if they did that.
So I feel like that would probably be the way that you'd get the Ultramarines back, is you'd lose a couple of successor chapters to start rebuilding, and they would take back Macragge and all that stuff.
Here's a question: do they become a fleet-based chapter?
I don't think so. I don't think that's in their blood. There's just not enough taxes to do on a ship. They would need to be on a planet, because governing is kind of in their blood. It's literally part of like who they are.
I mean, the Ultramarines are known well enough that the Imperium would just hand them worlds. Just be like, yeah, you take your pick.
Probably. I think that's very likely, yeah. The Lords of Terror would certainly be inclined, incentivized, if you will, to rebuild the Ultramarines. But why don't we go down the list and talk about the next way that the Ultramarines could have lost. So the first way was with G-Stealer cults. The second way was the Vord battle at Cersei. They voted for that one. Okay. So this is so if the Emperor class battleship does not do its suicide run, and instead the Hive Fleet fights its way out,
I think a different thing. You go first on this one, because I have a different idea for it.
Well, so maybe Battlefleet Bacca just doesn't show up.
Stupid.
so it's just the Ultramar fleet versus the Hive Fleet. Hive Fleet wins, although it is a costly victory. It ends up just destroying all of the ships. Calgar dies in space, like floating down towards some unknown rock. His body cast out from the remnants of the battle barge that was torn apart by Tyranids. So you lose Calgar, you lose all the ships, you lose all that fleet, and the Hive Fleet is still around, although badly beaten up. That's kind of how I figured that first part would play out. What do you think? If Bacca didn't show up.
So I'm going with if they did show up and everything, but if the Tyranids had the Ancient One show up, the biggest Hive ships, like if they actually sent out in full force, like I'm talking the Hive Fleet, the ships themselves, made it to Macragge before Macragge could get the order out to get the other fleets in. So now the Tyranids have like the Ancient One and several gigantic Hive ships to fight.
Well, or they'll have orbital superiority too, and
yeah,
the polar fortresses would still be held, but they would just get overwhelmed eventually by more landings, because the Hive Fleet will eat all the biomass of all the ships and the crews and stuff, and then go back to Macragge to finish the job. So it would be be
And
pretty
even
rough.
if the ancient one died, they might just do an Abaddon and just throw it at the planet.
Even worse would be Bacca showing up too late.
Yeah.
So now you have two fleets get eaten by the Tyranids. The first being Calgar's fleet, and the second being the battle fleet Bacca. In that case, though, that's maybe where the suicide run, and it becomes, the Ultramarines lost, but nobody won.
Yeah, so it's an Imperial victory.
Yeah, I mean that's very Imperial. That's a very Imperial victory.
We won. They're dead. We still have a few guys. Victory.
Good enough. Good enough. So the other option is the polar fortresses falling. This is sad because they spent the whole first company for nothing in this case.
That would
Yeah.
be such a blow to the
Right.
Marine morale.
Oh, that's I'm not sure they would rebuild after that. I think they might be like, you know what, we're going Black Shields, baby, because we lost our chapter master and our entire first company, and we're not worthy of being a chapter anymore. And even the Lords of Terror might agree if they learned of just how badly this whole thing went. So
yeah, that's a pickle, all right.
That's a pickle.
Like losing 100 first company Marines, that's all of your veterans and everything,
for nothing,
was a big loss. And then them just dying because the Tyranids tricked them to go into there, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's somebody would have to go to Terra to explain just what the hell happened on that one. Probably the Inquisitor would be like, okay, so
all right, hear me out. It's not my fault.
Funny story.
Hey, so you guys don't like the Ultramarines, right? Good news.
So just so we're clear, without the polar fortresses, the orbital war is lost again because without the defenses, the Hive fleet doesn't have to run away from Macragge and get trapped between Bacca and Calgar. Instead, they just stay there in orbit and drop Tyranids on the planet until it's done. And if Bacca may show up, it might show up too late. In any case, it's definitely too late for Macragge and definitely too late for the Ultramarines, because if they lose those polar fortresses, that's game over for the world.
Yeah.
Again, part of me wants to tell this story in more detail, like a what if episode of Marvel's What If, and go like follow the whole evacuation, trying to get the Primarch off the world before it's too late. That would be kind of a neat story to tell, honestly.
That would be like that sounds like a story that you could do as like an entire separate like video in of itself, and like that would be super cool.
The evacuation of Macragge,
yeah, like because there are so many things they'd have to contend with at that point. Because Lictors and Leapers would already be there.
They were there.
Yeah, but like the evacuation would be so much more like screwed.
Especially if Gene Stealers and cults are involved. Jeez, it would be bloody as hell. I mean, it'd be a great Dan Abnett book. Like I could just imagine him writing just this really horrific trying to escape the planet scene. Wow. All right. The other option, the last option of how this all went down, was Cold Steel Ridge, where the Stormlord and Calgar had their duel. So I suppose in this version, well, Alexis, how do you see Cold Steel Ridge going down in a way that loses the battle for the Ultramarines?
Always aim for the head.
Good advice, Thanos. Good advice.
Just chops him right in half. Not this stupid cuts his arms off bullcrap, and then somehow cuts him in half. Well, cuts his like belly open, and then he gets away. I just kill him. Just kill and devour him in front of his victorious guard, and then kill them.
Ducky9090 says, Swarmlord eats Calgar, gains 2 oversized fists, becomes the Popeye tyrant.
No, he gains 4.
4 oversized fists.
He just runs in like a damn JoJo stance.
Yeah,
that needs to be a conversion now. I need to see that. I might do that.
or Fist of the North Star, which is okay. I've seen way too much anime. Anyway,
This of North Star is amazing, by
it
the way.
really is. It's a classic. So Calgar gets cut down. What I believe you're saying is the Stormlord cuts down Calgar right there on Cold Steel Ridge, and Calgar's death, because he was the focal point of the resistance, crumbles all the defense. No more coordination, no more discipline from the Ultramarines. They just kind of fall apart. Is that what you're saying?
I think it is that, yes, but I think it's a little darker than that. I think at the point where he is just a corpse on the ground, the Tyranids might actually use his body, not eat it right away, but use his body to further demoralize the
Like a
Space Marines.
trophy, look,
Yeah,
behold, the head of your commander.
yeah, like they might actually throw it up on their backs and just walk at them, using it as a grisly trophy, showing that they have failed. And the Tyranids do things like this. Haha, do. But in the devastation of Baal, the the Tyranids were actually starting to get like annoyed with the Space Marines, and they were just having Tyranids run into void shield generators and kill themselves so that their acid blood could melt steel beams and destroy the void shield generators.
Wild. Question from Lichlord Kears: who would be in charge? I'm going to say Fabian of the Third Company, because the third and seventh were also on planet.
Yeah,
It would probably
yeah.
go down to Fabian.
High Fleet Baka would probably take control of the space battle without having Kalgar go up there giving them the orders.
Battlefleet Baka, yeah.
Yeah, Battlefleet Baka. The two fleets might not be as coordinated, so that might also lead to a defeat.
Certainly. Yeah.
There's like with Kalgar gone, it's kind of like the whole when Gilliman dies, what happens to the Imperium?
So this is like the least bad option, though, because this is that still gives them enough time to maybe get off world with Gilliman's body. It gives the chapter a reason to want revenge. There was a great quote here about all the success. Here we go. It's a super chat. Do you mind if I read it?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Ricky Chapman 3377. Thank you, sir. All the successor chapters may form a crusade of revenge on the bugs. That's 2/3 of Space Marine chapters arriving to blast the bugs. There would be a revenge crusade, almost certainly, from the Ultramarine successors.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, the Trinic War veterans wouldn't exist either.
Yeah, well, Cassius Italian would be dead. Tagirius would be dead. Like almost all the names.
No, Tagirius left. Remember?
All right. So, but Telly and Cassius and Calgar. That's three of their big named guys would all be dead. So yeah, that it's bad, y'all. It's real bad for the Ultramarines. That would be in all of these scenarios. Ultramarines get absolutely screwed. I think. Go ahead.
I'm also looking at all the conflicting sources about the Battle for Macragge. And it's just like, yeah, each of the codexes had their own interpretation.
So Tyranids in the heart of the Imperium, not just in the heart of the Imperium, but having carved out one of the most heavily defended worlds. The ripple effects from this would be astounding. I think when word of this reaches Terra, there would be a council. So the Lords of Terra would have a council. And I imagine one of their subjects would be, how do we stop this from happening ever again? And there would be some pretty big redirects of funding towards defending sector capitals and segmentum capitals. You'd probably see a lot more shipbuilding. They'd probably have to dispatch, if Battlefleet Baka did or did not, if Battlefleet Baka returned from this at all in any shape, like even just like one ship, they'd be like, okay, we now need to develop anti-Hive fleet ships. Whatever they would have spent on the Damocles Crusade, they would instead spend on reclaiming Macragge, reclaiming Ultramar.
They might actually put a lot of their effort into the Death Watch and expanding their numbers.
That wouldn't hurt.
Because the Death Watch are a non-codex compliant chapter, right?
Well, the Death Watch isn't really a chapter as we know it. They are a loose organization. Yeah.
So imagine if they just pumped Marines into the Death Watch.
Well, that would require a bit more coordination because service in the Death Watch is voluntary. Basically, it's considered an honor by most chapters. It's considered an honor to send someone to the Death Watch. There is pressure, certainly, like the Inquisition kind of like, hey, we could really use some guys, and you guys would get a lot of valuable experience fighting aliens if you work with us. But expanding the Death Watch, though, that's I could see them adding more watch fortresses. I could see them stepping up recruitment. I could see them develop again, sending more teams into the area, to kill teams, to see what they can do.
They might start the Soul Blight or Soul Blade. I can't remember which one it is, where they start those kill teams that are specially designed to kill Tyranids. Where all their whole job is to just drop in, kill a synapse creature, and leave.
Yeah, I think the Imperium would be worse off, certainly, and the Ultimate Segmentum would be very much worse off. But if I also think they would try to respond in some fashion.
I think best case scenario for this is that the Ultramarines don't completely die. The Hive fleet is defeated enough that it can be, scoured from the sector, but they would have still won.
There's a couple of really good quotes here. I want to bring up some comments. Lichlord Kier says early Primaris. Yeah, if somebody remembered that Call was working on it, this would require a lot of moving parts, but it's technically possible that someone could figure out what Call was up to and go, hey, it's time.
Or Call might come out and do it.
Call, or Trazen might even go see Call. Be like, hey, check out my Primarch.
That is very true, actually.
Speaking of that, Mornington Crescent, another very smart man, says, I could see the Chaos Legion squaring up against the Hive fleets. Guilliman dying would outrage the Demon Primarchs. They wanted him, not this.
There is a really, really fun quote in the Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 game. When Abaddon is destroyed by the Tyranids, specifically, Abaddon doesn't go screaming into the night. He just dies in silence. And Guilliman is the one discussing it. And he's just like, this is not the death that he deserved. And I'm not sure if that's the death that I wanted for him. And it's like this really, it's how Space Marines see their enemies, where they see them with a little tiny bit of honor. Because like they do want to fight each other. Like Abaddon does want to fight Guilliman.
Abaddon would be certainly, I think he's the most likely one to respond. As far as the Demon Primarchs go, I'm not sure.
Fulgrim,
well,
1000% would be pissed.
Because that was his kill. Because Guilliman, he is the one who TKO'd Guilliman in the first place. So Demon Fulgrim might, certainly.
In the most current codex of the Emperor's Children, the only codex for the Emperor's Children, when Guilliman comes back, that's when Fulgrim is just like, all right, I guess I'll stop playing around with Slaanesh stuff and organizes his legion, whatever's left of it, the psychos and madmen that he has under his control, and just decides, yeah, I'm going to go fight, and then doesn't end up fighting Guilliman at all.
Which is very Fulgrim, but
yeah,
it certainly could galvanize him in a similar fashion if this occurred.
Weirdly enough, the Demon Primarchs would actually be pretty weak against the Tyranids.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm not sure the other Demon Primarchs would really care that much. Lorgar would certainly care, but he's being chased around by Corax, and he's not around to do anything about it. Mortarion might be like, hey, I never liked that guy anyway, but I don't know if Mortarion would suddenly say, now we need to fight the Hive fleets. Perdurabo, probably same deal.
Typhus is currently heading towards Macragge in that time span, but because he fights the Tau around this time and loses. So it is possible that Typhus might encounter the Hive fleets.
And Typhus might go after them. I guess that's just, for lack of anything else to fight, might do that. Yeah, it's an interesting point. Like, how would Chaos respond? The Craft World Eldar probably wouldn't care, aside from aside from Yvraine, who is again hundreds of years before she even worries about this. Eldrad might care.
Yeah, Eldrad would be worried.
Yeah, he'd be very worried. He'd probably step up his anti-Tyranid activities.
Yeah, weirdly enough, the Phoenix Lords might actually be worried because all of them can sense like when shit happens. With the psychic ones.
Yeah, I don't know if the Phoenix Lords would care though, because it is definitely not. It's not a threat against them
The
at the
Farseers
moment.
would. Because they
I
would
mean,
sense his death and sense the Tyranids coming.
Eldrad certainly. I
Yeah.
grant you Eldrad. I don't know if any other Farseers other than him though would be that concerned. It's like, oh no, those crude humans lost another one of their big commanders. What a shame. Like
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be that upset.
Oh.
The orcs. Go ahead.
The orcs would be upset because it's not they were fighting them.
Well, so would Angron. Like that. If you want to talk about Demon Primarch who might be upset, it might be Angron, who's like, I was gonna kill him. Ah.
Angron also really didn't like Gilliman.
I mean, he didn't really like anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Angron has very few friends. I mean, the closest is Karn, I guess. But
hear me out on this. Typhus would take the Tyranids on personally. All right.
Okay.
And my story for this, because we're going full what if on this.
We are. This is a what if episode.
So Typhus does his preliminary strikes against the Tyranids, and he infects them with the pox, typical Typhus stuff. And he's just like, haha, that'll kill you. And then the Tyranids, like that particular ship dies. The Tyranids devour it, become immune to it. And then Typhus is like,
oops.
oh, you think you can survive my plagues? Hey, Rodigus, check this guy out. Hey, Scabatrax, these guys think they can survive you. And then it might become a war of how much of Nurgle's poisons can work against the Tyranids, because the Tyranids are nullifying it in two ways. Because the warp poisons of Nurgle are done based on the warp and on real like infections and diseases and everything. The Tyranids can nullify the warp effects, and they can potentially, and they can become immune to all diseases by simply taking a little bit in, and then going, all right, let's make ourselves immune to that, and then the next wave will be immune to it. So
Tyranids are not a good matchup for Nurgle. That's true.
So it might become this whole thing of like demons and the Death Guard trying to fight against the Hive Fleet, but then the Hive Fleet might start making Cronus way earlier than it did prior to that, which Cronus is a specially designed Hive Fleet to kill demons, which is crazy.
Micah asks, can the Tyranids adapt to Nurgle's pox? The answer is a question of scope. On a small 40k battlefield where, I have my 2,000 points of Ultramarines, you have your 2,000 points of Death Guard, or I guess my 2,000 points of Tyranids and your 2,000 points of Death Guard. Your diseases and your abilities that work off of disease are going to kill some of my guys. You could even table me. My entire 2,000 point army is gone. But when you're talking about the much, much bigger scale, the vast scale where Tyranids operate, look at those beautiful Tyranids. When you're talking about vast scale, especially like Hive fleets, which are just, billions of Tyranids, thousands of ships, little ships, big ships, it's a different story. So yes, what she's talking about, like you could infect and probably destroy a portion of that fleet, and then the rest of the fleet would adapt. They would quarantine, or they would create antibodies. They are a perfect, in a lot of ways, they're like a perfect organism where they find ways to respond using biological responses rather than technological responses. And biological responses are much better than technological responses at dealing with diseases, typically. So I can see it happening the way that Alexis described it, as they would eventually become immune, and on the scale that they're operating, it wouldn't be that effective. But it is true that a small Tyranid army against a small Death Guard army, their abilities would work on the Tyranids. Just to be clear, I think that's my reading on it.
So I like the idea that Typhus then uses like Mortarian's forces and the entirety of the Death Guard Legion to fight up against different Hive fleets before the Hive fleets start becoming more and more and more immune. and then you might actually have you might actually lose the Death Guard to the Tyranids, like in a war of attrition, which is really really funny. Unless they do what the Tau did in 5th edition when they had to fight a Hive fleet. They removed all the bodies.
Well, I think the Death Guard would eventually
paragraph in a codex.
If the Death Guard had a big enough force, the problem is the Death Guard is split up. Like there are all these little war bands. But if they had a large enough force to fight back, they could eventually grind. It would be a grind fest, but I think at the end the Death Guard might still be standing. But what's really funny to me, I got to say, about this whole what if is we're wildly speculating on what would happen if Tyranids actually won in this setting.
Yeah.
Because they never get to.
It is so but that's the problem with having a nameless, voiceless enemy, is that they can't win. Like, the crux of the Tyranids is the fact that they are Tyranids. They are not allowed to win because they are just the villain. And they're not even an interesting villain at that. That's the problem.
So Super Arlock has a quote here. A remark here that's interesting. More importantly, the Tyranids might still have Guilliman's soul, and Chaos wants that. That would be a more compelling reason.
This is also assuming that the soul in this case is actually something that the Tyranids did move, or if they just devoured the energy that was part of the Infinity Circuit. It's
unclear
how you determine what a soul is in 40k.
It's unclear whether the Tyranids actually can consume souls, or whether that's just hyperbole on the fact of the Eldar who are like, oh no, they ate our souls. It's unclear, but it's interesting. I like that's the interesting answer though, is that yes, they have the soul, because then that makes Chaos want to get it back. Like that's what's interesting about that answer to me, is that it's like, oh, okay.
There is also the possibility that when the Tyranids do try to consume Guilliman, that Guilliman gets possessed by the Emperor and, does this whole god burning thing and just goes, okay, go back to sleep.
Well, we could run a poll. We could run a poll and see what chat wants for the Fallout. Like, it could, like, we need our 4 options though. So why don't you get me 4 options while I set up the poll?
Oh, I like the never-ending grind against Death Guard, because they're in a similar system. Tau become I don't know what the options should be. Chat, help me out with this.
All right, so number one answer is what? You said the
never-ending war between Death Guard and Tyranids, which it feels like it fits right up the alley of the Death Guard's lore.
Okay, so never-ending Death Guard Tyranid war is the first option. What's the second option?
The Tau defeat the Tyranids and become like hyper adaptive at killing Nids.
Okay, what's the third option?
We get War Boss Nid Smasher.
Okay, so that's the orc answer. And then the last option. Fourth option.
Oh, what should the fourth option be?
Ultramarine Successor Crusade.
Yeah, Successor Crusade.
All right, so those are the 4 options.
Oh, and we keep forgetting the Necrons. Damn it.
It's too early. It's 200. This is 7:45, I think. M41.
Who let you out? For citing a victim.
Why won't? Oh, it's too long. That's what the problem is. Okay, Tau. Tau beat Nids and get stronger. Let's try that. Okay, there we go. Poll is starting. All right, so the options are up. Why don't you guys vote? Let us know what you think. We've put out a lot of really interesting ideas here today. I do love. I do kind of find it amusing, the idea of Rain having to resurrect Guilliman from being devoured. I mean, just wow, like the psyche, like when he comes back to life, you'd be like, oh my god, it was horrible. He might be he might not be nearly as calm and cool as he usually is coming back from that.
His rage might take over at that point. Like,
That'd be wild. That's definitely a fun one. Trazen. Trazen also, I like that idea of Trazen. Like, I'm just going to trade him. Here you go, Rain. You can have him. Here's your husbando.
I'll trade you one Gilliman for your foil base set shadowless.
Mox Pearl.
Oh, geez, we're just combining Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and Magic the Gathering.
I mean, why not? So yeah, Tyranids are kind of a cosmic horror, and at least one person in the chat already pointed out, like, if they win consistently, the setting's over because they just eat everything. So there's a really good reasons why the Tyranids typically lose. It's just I do feel for people who are Tyranid stands,
I, as a Tyranid lover, I mean, my literal username is Norn Queen Alexis. I love the Tyranids. I just wish they were a bit more interesting. They are really fun on the tabletop to play. I absolutely love Nidzilla as an army. I've loved the way that they look because they're Tyrannosaurus mixed with xenomorphs, with some like smokestacks on their back for reasons that is literally just stolen from Alien, but reasons. But the whole thing of them just they have to lose is kind of sucks because like the Imperium can't exist if the Tyranids win. Nothing can exist if the Tyranids win.
Well, I'm looking forward to when we discuss the Octarius War. And for anybody who doesn't know what the Octarius War is, it's what happens when an Inquisitor tricks a Orc Wog to fight a Tyranid Hive fleet, and they do this for long time until one of them finally becomes the winner, and it's awful. Let me just tell you, it's like, holy moly!
Didn't they have
what have I done?
four like 3 meter tall boys?
Like we'll get into it when we talk about the
Yeah.
Octarius War, because it is absolutely insane what happens between those two forces. Professor Shat, marginally happy Christmas noise. Nice, well
It's
done.
a great one.
Okay, we're gonna give the chat just about 30 more seconds to vote, and I'll close down that poll. Trazen is the guy who would keep Gilliman from being devoured. I cannot see that not happening. Hi, Victor. There goes Victor. All right, we're going to close the poll. And survey says top answer is never-ending Death Guard Tyranid War.
See, that in my opinion is the best version of this.
The least worst.
Well, yes, but also no. But also yes. So the way I see this is Macragge survives, but barely. Like there's like maybe 200 Marines left, and the entire chapter is pretty much dead, but they are all trying to evac Gilliman. Mortarion doesn't want Gilliman to die. Typhus is already heading there. Typhus encounters the Tyranids for the first time and starts battling them. Mortarion, being Mortarion, is watching and checking with what is that one demon? The End of Death, the one that appears in Plague Wars, the End of All Things. That's it. He talks to that demon of Nurgle, and the End of All Things says that it can't see the end of the Tyranids. So Mortarion takes this as a personal insult.
And I took that personally.
And thus, being the most petty of all the Primarchs, which is really funny considering Fulgrim is on that list,
is Mortarion the most petty, or is it Perturabo?
Yes. When you have a 7-centimeter dick measuring contest with the Emperor himself, you are the most petty. When you build an exact copy of everything your father has ever built, but 7 centimeters wider and taller, you are the most petty.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair. I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
I love Mortarion as a character. I love how petty he is. I think he's great. But because the end of death tells him that they can't die, he goes, "No, I can figure it out. I figured out how to kill a Primarch. I can do this." Then they start fighting against the Tyranids, and The Tyranids are rapidly adapting at first.
Wait,
and
which
then,
Primarch are you thinking of right now?
Mortarion.
That he killed?
No, he's trying. Sorry, in Godblight, he does kill Gilliman.
Okay.
But then Gilliman gets possessed by the Emperor, turns Super Saiyan, yells at Mortarion, and then Nurgle runs and hides in his house as his entire planet is on fire.
So
Actually,
Gilliman's like that guy in the the Holy Grail. I got better.
Yeah. The surviving Ultramarines evac Gilliman, and they get saved somehow. Some fleet sacrifices everything to try to get them out. And then the never-ending war, and unfortunately, because the tower in the middle of it, they're just getting annihilated. Which unfortunately also includes the crew.
Shame. That's the
Pour
biggest
one out
shame.
for the crew.
Pour one out for the crew. Here's a great idea. I need to add this one. Mornington Crescent. Maybe we could take advantage of Gilliman being eaten to turn him into their Kerrigan. He becomes the devouring sun.
They have a Kerrigan. It's the Magus.
It's a cool idea if you think about it. That
it is really
he's
cool.
he's like Locutus of Borg, right? He shows up and he's like, I am Robuta Gilliman, and I speak for the Hive mind.
That would actually be really cool.
That'd be wild. That would be their Locutus of Borg moment. It would be gentlemen, we have engaged the Tyranids.
I think one of the biggest turning points in this war would be the discovery of Hellfire working against Tyranids.
That is one of the that's literally one of the things that happens in the original timeline.
Mm-hmm.
In the original timeline, of course, the Ultramarines and Cassius, specifically Cassius, their chaplain, their head chaplain, if you will, he creates the Tyrannic War veterans, which are specific anti-Tyranid forces of the Ultramarines.
Which is funny because they are now just Sternguard veterans with a Tyrannic War upgrade.
I mean, it's still cool, and it's still it's along those lines of, we have to design that's where some of that would probably come from, is Cassius and his Tyrannic War veterans speaking to Magus Biologus of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and speaking to the Inquisition, the Ordo Xenos. They would probably all get together and come up with Hellfire earlier, faster, better, stronger, more Hellfire, all the Hellfire you can give me.
I also think that Nurgle would figure it out as well, because it is a acid, like that kind of fits with their whole thing.
Professor Shep, I am Guilliman of the Hive. Your biomass will be repurposed to service us. Resistance is futile. Mr. Azrael, open fire. Nice. Last time on the Battle for Macragge. And now the conclusion. No, I love it.
So how do you see this war ending?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it's literally a never-ending war of the Death Guard, and it would be like the Actarius War. It would just be going and going and going.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nurgle getting involved, if Nurgle chose to get involved, which there's no guarantee that he would. That's an open question. That's beyond my scope, other than to say it would probably eventually tip to one scale or the other, but that would depend on a lot of other factors.
Mm-hmm. It would mostly depend on the space battle.
Right. And it wouldn't sell a lot of miniatures, and Games Workshop wouldn't be very into it.
No.
Because, the reason why the Tyrannic War veterans are cool is because they sell more miniatures.
Yeah.
But Gilliman will teach the Tyranids to do their taxes. Yeah. Submit all the forms correctly.
The Hive Tyrants would develop depression. Gilliman's coming. Can we send him back? Oh, here, I brought your mandatory paperwork. I don't even have thumbs.
So that's the initial list of ways that it could end, and the initial list of aftermaths that we thought of. If you guys want to throw out some more ideas of things that we may have overlooked, or ways that you personally would like to see how the Battle of Macragge could have gone the other way, I'd love to see it. Bring them out. Share with us your thoughts. Alexis, where do we go from here? Do we want to do another round of options of how the the battle could have changed? Do we want to do more options of the aftermath? Do we want to do something else entirely?
So, in my opinion, there is the opposite of this question: is how the Space Marines could have won in a more strategic victory.
Ah, okay, that's an interesting thought.
My
Huh.
first my first answer to that is they send out word quicker to Hive Fleet Baka, which I'm going to keep calling Hive Fleet Baka. This is a good question. Any potential for a Tyranid civil war?
Between who and who, though?
The Tyranids, the
I
different
mean,
Hive fleets.
what I imagine they would be fighting over whatever was left of the Imperium. That's the only time I can see them fighting each other seriously,
So
as if it's the last one to the trough.
the only Tyranid on Tyranid violence that we have is a small blurb from one of the codexes, and it's literally like a small blurb, and it's the Tyranids themselves attacking each other because one Hive fleet is either infected or because the Hive fleet is deemed smaller. So the Tyranids would then devour it so that their numbers could grow, because for some reason they can't just, go, you're mine now. They have to devour it first to make it theirs. I guess they devour it to change its color scheme.
All right, so I've put down more slash earlier reinforcements as one option. I'm gonna add unexpected alliance as an option,
Yeah,
which could
like
be
the
Tau,
Tau or the Orcs
Eldar, or the Orcs,
or the
uh,
Necrons.
or the Necrons. It could be some unexpected alliance.
Oh my god, if the Necrons awoke earlier, Cato Sicarius wouldn't have PTSD.
Kato Sicarius.
No, because that's like one of his big driving forces is that he has premonitions, which is just symptoms of PTSD, where he is terrified of Necrons.
What are some other ways that that you can think of? Maybe
Um, phew. Like what really kills the Nids in the setting?
well, I mean, you had that suicide charge of the Imperial
Oh, an
ship.
Adeptus Mechanicus fleet arrives
Okay,
because their Nova cannons can shoot black holes.
so Mechanicus reinforcements is another option, which I assume would be Call in this case.
Yeah, it would be Call at this point because Call would be like protecting his investment.
Maybe some kind of natural event like a earthquake or a star-going nova or
A void whale migration.
void whale migration. You want to add that? I could put that in there. It's like the stupidest way to win, but that's why people will vote for it.
People are gonna vote for that just so we talk and answer what the hell a void whale is.
I mean, it might. We'll see. I put the poll up, you guys.
The Emperor gets involved would have been another good one.
It's too late. The poll's already up.
Dang it. We put void whales over the Emperor.
Dang it. So the Emperor getting involved here. So how would that, I mean, given the shadow and the warp, given the distance between Terra and Ultramar, given the Emperor is a corpse on the throne, how would you see the Emperor getting involved aside from maybe Saint Celestine or
Well, yeah, he could send Saint Celestine, and Saint Celestine has been shown to be able to fly in the vacuum of space. But aside from that, and push a warp storm out of her way while flying faster than a spaceship behind her, which means that she moves faster than light. But we're not going to get into that. Actually, yes, we would have to because that's the exact way she would.
Basically, we're talking about a miracle. It would take a miracle of some kind.
It is a miracle. Like, okay, so here's exactly how it would happen. Saint Celestine wakes up within the realm of the Emperor in the warp itself, and she gets a premonition from the Emperor, and the golden light of the Astronomicon points her to where she needs to go. That happens in her book. That's how she keeps resurrecting. She dies, she goes through trials, she realizes who she is, she fights for the Emperor. And she does that every single time she dies. So she is sent out, and when she is in real space, she's flying a fleet of ships with her aboard it. So the warp storms around it are being parted for her because miracle of the Emperor. and she is bringing a fleet of just sisters coming in. So we have several Imperial Navy vessels coming in with just tens of thousands of Sisters of Battle of the Order of Our Martyred Lady on board.
Well, it could be multiple orders.
Yeah, it could, but Martyred Lady are the coolest.
If you say so.
I am biased.
All right, fair enough. So the Emperor would respond by sending a boatload of Sisters of Battle and the St. Celestine.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
And then that would be enough to fight off against the Tyranids, because now you have the Space Marines, the hyper elite, then you have the Sisters, the elite, and then you have the Voidsmen and all of these new ships, as well as having more ground forces from these ships to drop down. So you would have the benefit of a whole nother 2 armies, maybe 3 armies. And if they're flying with knights or titans, they can drop those as well.
Cabo asks, can they hide in deep underground bunkers and wait it out for the Tyranids to strip the planet with their Gilliman stasis cube thing? Very empiric, but technically they're still on Macragge.
Yes. This is actually how they discovered the 7 stages of the Tyranid invasion, is they went into super hidden underground bunkers and just, took
waited
notes.
It out. You can wait it. I guess you can technically wait it out. Yeah, this was this on Terran Primus?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, this is 1000% true.
Micah says Martyred Lady is the Ultramarines version of the Sisters.
All right, I will completely agree to that.
Gonna close the poll in about 30 seconds here, guys. Get your votes in. So here's Micah again saying, I think a good way for Big E to intervene would be to do what he did during the Plague Wars and possess him. I think meaning Gilliman or maybe Kalgar in this case, because Gilliman is in stasis.
He would possess Kalgar after Kalgar got chopped down.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? That would be a miracle too. All the Ultramarines, oh my, he's risen, he is risen, it's Kalgar on the 3rd day.
But that is what the Emperor has done.
I'm not denying it.
Oh my God, why didn't we think of them?
Ricky Chapman 3377 coming in with a steel share. Legion of the Damned arrive. Hell yeah. Legion of the Damned is a very cool, that would be a fun one to bring in for sure.
Where do you stand on the Legion of the Damned? Are they ghosts or are they an actual legion?
Okay, so my position is that ghosts don't actually exist in 40K. I've been told this specifically from Games Workshop, that ghosts do not exist.
So do you think they're an actual chapter?
So the theory that I like the most is that they are in fact remnants of the Iron Hands from Istvan 5, where Ferrus Manus died, and his Primarch essence has remained, took him and his closest companions, like and again, Legion, so it's probably more than a chapter's worth of Marines, from the battlefield at Istvan 5, and said, okay, you guys are now my honor guard, and we're going to go around fighting for the Imperium, but because we're dead, it's going to look really weird because we're all like on fire and shit. That's what I think. That's my favorite theory. It's not what I think. It's my favorite theory.
I will give you some pointers for that. In Aaron Densky-Bowden's book, The Master of Mankind, he does summon Ferrus Manus. Well, Ferrus Manus. It's definitely Ferrus Manus as a Legion of the Damned. And he has like the missing head and everything.
Legally distinct ghosts. Yes.
Yeah.
Not actually ghosts, but basically ghosts. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So what do you want to know the poll results?
Yes, let's go through the poll.
All right. Top result of the poll. What's a better end for the Battle of Macragge? Void Whale Migration was voted to the top of the list. Whale Migration.
So what the hell is a Void Whale?
Go ahead.
A Void Whale is a creature in 40K that has the ability to go in and out of real space. It eats debris and everything in its path. It can crash into planets and devour them. Depending on the size of them, they could be the size of a ship to the size of an actual planet, and they swim through the galaxy. How they propel themselves, I don't know. They just do.
So we got Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, is
wonder
going to
if I
solve this
can.
problem for us.
I'm gonna try to get a picture of a void whale.
So a whole squad of void whales shows up, and I guess they just devour the Tyranids or scatter the fleets or otherwise interfere with the landing of endless waves of Tyranids on Macragge. Void whales could just go eating myconid spores like plankton.
Yeah.
They could just open their mouth and go swooping through the air and just suck up entire legions of Tyranids.
Let's see if I can find this.
They might actually, though I don't see void whales as being combatants in this. I in my head, it's
No,
really
they just kind of crash into things. They're not very smart.
right, and they're a massive distraction, and they break up the Hive fleet. If they have to, the Hive fleet has to like go around it, or the Hive fleet gets so distracted by all the biomass. Ooh, wow! Look at those things.
That's a void whale.
Is that from Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2?
Yes, it
nice.
is.
Armada 2, nice.
I love these things. Look at how cute they are. They like poop plasma. I guess that's their means of propulsion. They have these massive teeth. They have no eyes. They just fly into things. And if you are unlucky enough to have this thing ram your ship, it is the strongest ram in the entire game. So
do they eat ships?
Yeah.
In Armada? Oh, so they might eat the Tyranids.
In Armada, they don't eat the ship, but they do this as an animation when they crash into things. So it is implied that they are eating the ship the same way the Tyranids do, where it's a limitation of the animations. So they are eating the ship. They just crash into things and just start eating it. I love these things, and they do migrate, apparently.
Well, apparently they migrated right through the Battle of Macragge and saved the Ultramarines from being destroyed. Would this change how the Ultramarines see void whales, do you think? Do you think they might be like, hey, we have a new successor chapter now?
It depends if one of them crashes into Macragge.
Right, like let's not have them crash into the planet, I guess.
Now, another cool little tidbit of lore about the void whale itself. The void whale did showed up. I'm so good at that. You know what? I am a professional. But the void whales did show up in the Plague War series, where one was possessed by a disease and everything of Nurgle, and its mouth was transporting thousands of demons. And when this thing was shot down on top, it crashed into the planet, and its belly burst open, and all these demons came running out into the agri world. I can't remember what it was called, but
Calth?
no, it's not Calth. It was one of the smaller planets.
Okay. Dragon Magic 647 says they do move in herds.
Great Jurassic
so yeah, so they can be Trojan horses. So clearly, yeah, there's some effects that can happen here. Maybe the Ultramarines would adopt this particular group of whales. Maybe they would establish some sort of symbiotic link, or maybe they'll just record it in their chapter histories.
It was the hospital planet. You are correct.
Wendigo, that's one of our painters that shows up quite often.
Yep.
Painting some really good minis. So maybe they would adopt it or protect it in some manner. I'm not sure what.
I imagine the void whales would have fell out of the warp because of the Tyranids, and this is just the craziest timing that they just crashed on top of the feet. And because like 2 or 3 void whales just crashed in and just started eating what they could, it gave the Imperial Navy time to actually like get their Nova cannons, get their bombardment cannons, get their lances lined up to shoot and cripple the Tyranids, so they could use the void whales to like push the Tyranids away from them. Weaponized void whales, yes.
Ricky Chapman, 3377. Once again, thank you, sir. Build a chapter monastery on one of their backs.
The only reason you wouldn't want to do that is because once the Tyranids are defeated enough that these things could dive back into the warp, they're going to dive back into the warp.
They're going to dive back into the warp, yeah. But I imagine this would be a very curious section of the chapter history where they're like, and then for some strange reason, a whole bunch of void whales showed up and saved us. It was great.
It would be so silly, and I love it.
Super Urlock says we missed yours. Locust and more backers. Did we miss with yours? I'm sorry. We did.
Oh,
We sure did. Super Orlock asks, can we add a crotolid migration happen too?
oh my God. So now the crocodiles show up.
Crotolids. That's wild. So crotolids, I don't know, man. I don't. It would have to take a hell of a lot of crotolids. Void whales are one thing. They're massive. They're the size of a hive ship. Crotolids are not that big. However, a big enough swarm of crotolids moving through the warp could have a very similar effect to the void whales. It would be in a lot of ways the same thing. Oh, look.
This is another void whale.
Huh.
As depicted by the orcs. And it
sure enough
part of their planet. Look at that.
Look at that
yum,
thing.
Yum, yum, yum.
Wow. All right. Yeah, there's they call those cosmozoa, I think, or basically space animals, space fauna. There's a word for it.
They're weird is what they are.
Micah says, what a strangely convenient coincidence. It's like we have some sort of plot armor. Yeah.
Be God, Swarm Lord, you don't even have a name. We have plot armor. Behold! And the void whales just appear.
The second one after the void whale migration was Unexpected Alliance. And I like this one because it's open to a lot of different ways to think about it. It could be an alliance with the Necrons. It could be an alliance with the Tau. It could be an alliance with the Eldar. It could be an alliance with anyone the Ultramarines could conceivably ally with, which leaves out Chaos, to be clear. And Dark
Pick
Eldar.
4 and make a poll for it. Let's go through the next one.
So, all right.
And this time we're going to remember the Necrons.
That's right. So who is...
The whales were the allies all along.
Unexpected allies.
I absolutely love all the silly stuff in the
Listen, we have a great community. You guys are great because you come up with wild ideas. You're willing to listen to us talk about your wild ideas. You want to see us engage with your wild ideas. That's a lot. That means a lot to me. I'm really grateful for it. So option 1, unexpected ally, is Necrons. Option 2's got to be Tau, right?
Yeah, option 2 has to be Tau Empire.
Third option, Eldar?
Yes.
And fourth option.
Fourth option, let's throw a weird one on there.
Yeah, we should. We should definitely throw a weird one. Minor Xenos faction is one possibility.
Ooh, do you want to go really weird?
I mean, sure.
Oh, a Blackstone Fortress appears.
Blackstone Fortress would be wild. Yeah. We
don't know who's crewing it. But
mysterious Blackstone Fortress. I think that works out really well. All right. Starting up the poll. You guys could vote on it, see who's going to be in it. Hrud is the chat saying Hrud. Sorry. No, Hrud or not. No. Orcs are a possibility, but the ally it wouldn't be really allies as much as just another thing to fight. Wendigo 804 says 10,000 years earlier, Rubute Gilliman feeds a space whale and gets a promise from them they will return one day to help him out. He gets accidentally swallowed. He had to make a bargain with it. It was a whole thing.
It's not void whales. It's actually void killer whales. And the Tyranids are millionaires.
Professor Shapp says, in recognition of the void whale service, a new space marine founding called the Void Whale was created. That could actually happen. I mean, that's entirely possible. Friender Trader says, void whales are just the future of the fishmen. Wild.
Next time Sotek is streaming, you guys have to post that on there. Just say void whales are the future fishmen.
Micah says, praise be to space whale. Yeah, I see what you're doing there, Micah. I also agree.
We did get a super chat.
Stephen Lucas 8836, thank you, sir. Yu-Gi-Oh card, Fortress Whale or Orca Mega Fortress of Darkness.
You know what? I'm going even nerdier than that. I'm going with Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth. Yes, wow. That is a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Wow. Does Dark Magician work on that?
He's not a
Ricky Chapman 3377. The Emperor's ways are mysterious. Praise his whale. Oh, there's unquestionably a cult would start. No, I mean not even a week after that event, there would be a cult somewhere in the Ultramar on the 500 Worlds about the foot whales. We got this one already, I think. Yeah, we did.
The Emperor's just having a whale of a good time.
All right, 30 seconds to close the poll, y'all. Get your final votes in there. Nude warp travel service available foot whale taxis. Guys,
I
it's
also
getting
love
silly.
this one.
Twin-tailed whale. It's getting silly. Void whales are rare. That's one of the things about them is they're very extremely rare. They are encountered so infrequently that they're often considered legends by void captains and things of that nature. So it is not a common thing in 40k to be like, oh look, void whales, just flying around out there. So let's
weird like space animals in 40k.
That's true. I am now shutting down the poll. And the chat says that the unexpected ally is a mysterious Blackstone fortress.
All right, so I'll get up a Blackstone fortress. You explain what one is.
Blackstone fortresses are ancient space installations that can also travel. They're not ships per se, although they can travel through the warp. They, in a dormant state, the Imperium found several of them and used them as essentially the space fortresses to defend the Gothic sector, which is where they were originally found. Abaddon later came and turned them into activated fortresses, which were there's lots to explain here, but they're very mysterious. Nobody's sure who built them in the first place. They look like a chaos star. That's an activated fortress right there when they're activated. They have some of the design language looks kind of Necron-y to me, with that big pyramid on the side there. But they are definitely not Necron, which is a weird thing. There's a lot of theories about who built them and why, but they are also extremely powerful in that they can create energy effects that can destroy planets. They're very, very, very strong. One was crashed into Cadia, which I believe is this one. Is this the one?
Cadia.
Okay, so one of them was crashed into Cadia to destroy the planet. And the only reason it crashed is because it took a shitload of fire from the defense fleet and the Phalanx, which is one of those Space Marine vessels that's the size of a Blackstone fortress.
Was the Space Wolves that took this thing down?
The Space Wolves did. They sacrificed their whole presence on Cadia, I think, to do it.
Yeah, they sacrificed pretty much everything.
Grim Isaac says, didn't Vol make them? That is a theory. It is theorized that the Eldar god Vol created them, that they're part of the weapons of Vol. I don't believe that we know that for sure, but it is definitely an interesting idea. If the Eldar god built them and realized that this would have been built prior to the birth of Slaanesh, so it would have been a very different Eldar civilization. It's really big question.
The Blackstone character, the elf, is familiar with it, but she doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, the Eldari, if the Eldari built them, they sure didn't keep them. They didn't really even spend a lot of effort keeping them. So it's an open question. If they were created, go ahead.
We do know that they have a omnidirectional laser, and they can project something very similar to a void shield, but much stronger. They can also flicker in and out of reality. What they're doing there, we don't know, and they can be used for chaos as well as like I mean, the whole chaos forces trying to take them is kind of a big thing in the 40k setting.
Pretty much Abaddon's favorite toy, says Micah. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Abaddon did use 4 of these to detonate a sun.
That was the Gothic War. Yeah.
Yeah.
Destroying stars is something they're capable of in groups.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So a couple of theories from chat that are really interesting. Could it be Old One tech? If they were made by Vol, it was very likely they were made for the War in Heaven or right after the War in Heaven. That's what I'm thinking is, if you ask me like what they are, like what I think they are, probably Old One tech, or related to the War in Heaven at the very least. Again, it could be Creation of All, where he's like, "Hey, the War in Heaven sucked. Let's make these fortresses so we don't have to worry about it anymore."
You're obviously incorrect. It's a Jericho's invention. Jerkero.
Jokero, yeah.
The monkey.
So here's an even better theory, though. Micah says maybe the Krorks made them. So the Krorks are the War in Heaven version of orcs. They're the orcs, if you will, the ones that were created way back in the day to fight Necrons and other things. And Krorks were capable of building some really wild shit. Like if you read War of the Beast, which takes place right after the Horus Heresy, they were able to make war worlds, which were kind of like moons that could teleport and bring entire armies, vast armies of orcs into battle.
Yep.
So are the Krorks capable of building something like this? They absolutely are.
Yeah, the orcs weaponizing asteroids, rocks, everything. I could see them, if they were intelligent, building something like this.
Well, Krorks were a very different breed than the orcs we're familiar with today. So it's possible that they could have done that. And then the other option that I was going to throw out here, Jonathan King 4923 says maybe Necron. They do have a pyramid on it. It looks very Necron-y.
I had a theory about this, where it's not the Necron that built it. It's the surviving Necrotier that built it.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that idea.
So, like, why they're all empty and everything is because the Necrotier aboard them are still in stasis, and they simply just haven't found them yet.
So you're going to have to explain the difference between a Necrontier and a Necron.
A Necrontier is a Necron that didn't go through the soul transference and is not a metallic man. It is just the old, crusty, like, humanoid-looking Necron.
The original race. The original species, I should say. Yeah. Original species of whatever they were. And that's a really interesting idea. I like that one. I also like Built by Vol for the War in Heaven. I like all of these ideas interesting and curious. But the power of a Blackstone Fortress, and in the instance that we're talking about today, is that a Blackstone Fortress would tilt. It is so powerful that it would certainly tip the balance.
I mean,
in space, it would just wipe out. It would do some serious damage to a Hive fleet.
Like, it took multiple battle barges it took a battle barge and an entire company of space wolves to damage this thing enough that they couldn't use it anymore. It wasn't destroyed, mind you. No. It was wrecked because they killed the crew. That was it.
Ricky Chapman, again, 3377. The Jokero do seem to know a lot about them and shown in the Blackstone Fortress game and books.
Yes, they do. They are very, very, very they know what it is.
Okay, so grand unified theory of the Blackstone Fortress is that it was built by the Necrontier using Jokero slaves for the War in Heaven. I'm going to go there.
Well, the Jokero were created during/after the War in Heaven, depending on the timeline of the War in Heaven, because the War in Heaven is constantly rewritten. But they are one of the oldest races, so they probably worked on them at one point.
Yeah, so I think that's enough talking about the Blackstone Fortresses, because that's not the subject of today's thing. But we will get back to this. Yes. There's a whole game called Blackstone Fortress. We'll get into that. We'll probably do an episode on that at one point. And these guys are really fascinating. Especially, we're going to do an episode on the Gothic War, because I love the Gothic War.
I've been playing, like, ever since we started this and we mentioned Gothic War, I went back and started playing Battlefleet Gothic, and I have it set on the hardest difficulties, and then I got a mod to make it even harder.
Wait, what
the Tyranids were brutal.
We have a relevant super chat. We need to read it. N7 Greenfire, thank you, sir, for your support. Half Eldar Illyrian Nastase from a different timeline brought the Blackstone. So that guy, Ilion Nastase, I think he's from the Road Trader original book, one of the original. Let me see if I can find a picture of him.
He's the astropath of the Ultramarines.
Why don't you talk about him while I look for a picture for him?
That's it. That's all his lore. He's the chief librarian and astropath of the Ultramarines. He is a half elf. And yeah, that was in a time when GW was a little cheeky with halflings and half elves and creatures of that nature. But there are two other half elves in 40K
I
that
know there's a picture of him. I just can't find it.
I can go grab my Rogue Trader book.
It's again, that's it's not really relevant, so I wouldn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. But I know there's an image of him somewhere. It's a black and white piece of art. It's not that great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's what he's talking about. All right,
Also,
thank you.
thank you so much.
Yeah, again, that's a big help. Do we want to look at one of the other
Yes.
options? So after the Blacksmith Fortress comes Eldari.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mysterious alliance or unlooked for alliance.
So
Unexpected ally, excuse me.
So this wouldn't be the Yanari because the Yanari don't form until Eldred does his whole mission and ritual where the Death Watch try to stop him, and then they sort of do, and then Games Workshop was just like, nah, he succeeded.
Ulthuan would make a lot of sense because Eldrad could lead his guys through webway portals. They could just show up.
That is true.
And Eldrad does pay attention to this kind of thing. So he is one of the most likely answers for which Eldari Craft World does this. It could be Harlequins, straight up Harlequins. For no apparent reason, Harlequins, surprise, killer clouds from outer space. We have come to help you with your Tyranid problem.
I do like the idea of Harlequins coming in.
Because they don't have to explain. They don't have to explain anything. They just show up, fight, and leave.
They just do their thing. They might talk, maybe, but there's no reason to.
It could be
that's the whole thing.
It could be a Corsair fleet for Mayandin because they've dealt with Tyranids before.
That's true.
Bealtan just likes to fight. Maybe Bealtan shows up just likes to fight.
Could be Sam Han as well.
Well, it could be any of the craft worlds because of the webway. Super Orlok says it's Super Orlok. It's Bealtan, and they don't stop at the Tyranids.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
They would be like, hey, Ultramarines, let's go, let's party.
We're here to fight you, you bastards.
Well, what if the battle for Macragge ended with the Bealtan in charge of the planet? That would be kind of wild.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Necrons to the left of me, Tyranids to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you, Bealtan.
I do really like that. I think that's really funny. But let's see. So we'd have to start in the space battle, obviously. So they would come in on a solar winds. Mm-hmm. That's how the Eldar fly in space. It's very weird.
They could show up on the planet through webway portals, but just saying.
Yes, they could. They could just, hey, there's a random webway portal somewhere and they popped in. So they show up. They have to fight in space first, is one of the big things. So their ships are just going to try to barrage the synaptic ships. And once those are taken care of, then they're going to start doing their whole hit and run tactics while dropping troops on the planet. So they would have to defend the solar fortresses, the northern fortress and the southern fortress.
In my head, I'm seeing dragon ships, like the big bone ships that they have instead of the standard Eclipse cruisers and Twilight cruisers. But it doesn't matter. Like any of those vessels would be more than capable with the way the Eldar fight in space in a very different way. They use the solar wind and they're far more agile than an Imperial ship or even a Hive fleet ship.
They're super annoying to fight.
They are the most agile fleets in space, with the possible exception of Necrons who can do submarine shit, which is really weird. But anyway, they would certainly clean up in space. On the ground would be a different thing because
so here's a question. Have the Eldar fought the Nids enough yet?
Well, certainly Iyanden has. The Eldar have fought the Tyranids.
But have they fought them at this point?
Almost certainly.
Okay.
I'd have to look that up, but I'd have to look that up to be entirely certain. But I do believe that Iyanden happened already.
Okay, because the way I'm seeing this is, if Malentine happened already, then they would have told Iandin, which then Iandin would come and have more knowledge and know which creatures to kill.
No, I'm wrong. Iandin has not happened yet. Iandin happens in 993, and
So
this is
they,
745. So this is 200 years before that.
yeah, that's what I was
250
thinking.
years.
So this is their first involvement with the Tyranids. But the Eldar do have one advantage over like everyone else. They know which creatures are synapse creatures. They can, I mean, they'll go insane a little bit, but they do know which ones they are.
It's very likely they'd be able to sense them because synapse creatures use psychic connections to link all their subspecies together. So yeah, that's certainly possible.
So they would,
Funny side note, Allendin's conflict with the Tyranids happens exactly 1 year after an Ulthwé Farseer goes to them and says that the only hope of their survival is Iniad.
ha,
1 year
great.
later. Womp
That is
womp.
terrific. So I think they would have listened to their Farseers, and they would have targeted specifically the Swarmlord. So as the Swarmlord hit
that's
the
the whole
ground,
point. Yeah, they would just show up, gank the Swarmlord, and leave.
yeah, I think that's what they do. They don't stay for the prolonged fight. They just fly in, boom, don't explain anything to anybody in the history of forever, and then leave.
Perfidious Eldar.
And then the Space Marines are just like, okay, write down that we fought them and they lost. Make sure you add that part of me killing their witches. That's an Eldar thing, right, brothers?
Just below that is the Necrons. The unexpected ally are Necrons, arising early from their tombs. Or Trazyn.
So it has to be Trazyn. So my idea for this is that Trazyn views the 500 worlds as the only civilized part of the Imperium, and even that is like he still looks down upon because he's a Necron, obviously. Where it's like it's nowhere close to the Necrons, obviously, but for the humans, this is very impressive, and he wants to keep seeing it flourish. So he brings. He could just bring the first company of no, they weren't the first company at the time. He could just unleash his Tartaros and Cataphractii Terminators that he has from his capsules.
From the Heresy era?
Yeah, because he
talk
does
about
that on Katie.
They'd be confused as hell, man. Those poor guys would be like, "Oh my god, what's happening?"
I don't know what that thing is, but I'm going to kill it.
So a quick question that somebody has here: Lich Lord Kiers, which Black Crusade would this line up with? So the 12th was about 600 years prior, and the 13th is about 200 years later. So it's closer to the 13th, but it's after the 12th.
This is Abaddon's 12.5 crusade. It's to go out and get lunch.
Friend or Traitor says, my thinking for Necrons, it's been established that the fall will devastate the galaxy. With his history, with both the Nids and the Imperium, it would make sense to have the Silent King intervene. Ooh.
It actually does.
Good point. Very good point. And the Silent King would, yeah.
So the Silent King has an awakened legion. Like, he doesn't have just a couple of dudes. He has a legion with him. And he's been fighting the
Necrons. Legion Necrons.
Yeah. And he's been fighting the Tyranids for over 10,000 years at this point. So, them starting to crack through, he's going to send either himself or a duplicate of himself to go and deal with that. And yes, Necrons can duplicate themselves. That's why you can destroy a Necron Lord and have it come back. Trazyn takes advantage of this far beyond anybody else, where he can just put it into any Necron, but most Necrons need a matching body. So he sends an envoy to them and fights the Tyranids back, and then goes back to where he needs.
So according to what I'm reading here, the Silent King ended his self-imposed exile just 1 year before this. Interestingly,
there you go.
Maybe, possibly, returned to the galaxy after encounter with the Tyranids in the intergalactic void. So yeah, maybe this is him coming back from his self-imposed exile. Who knows? Yeah. Micah says Trazyn, I assume, could unleash his Fulgrim clone now that he would be crazy, especially for Papa Smurf being there because of him or the original him.
He doesn't have the Fulgrim clone at this point.
Maybe. I don't
He
know.
has the
That's
Fulgrim clone after. He gets that during the events of Clone Lord.
Clone Lord. Well, yeah, but time and Necrons is weird. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
yeah,
technically
especially
possible.
as a chronomancer with him.
Who knows? It's
Yeah.
weird. Well, welcome to 40K, everybody. All right, so our last option after the Necrons was the Tau.
So again, I see the Tau actually building like really, really efficient anti-Tyranid weaponry, and the Tau aren't affected as much by the Shadow of the Warp.
But why would they help here and now?
So they would help as a way of extending an olive branch of the greater good.
The survivors will be part of our greater good.
I mean,
we will
yeah,
accept all of you into the empire once we've won.
it might also be a way of parlaying with the Imperium. Like, we protected Ultramar,
So
leave us alone.
in this case, that would probably stave off the Damocles Gulf Crusade.
Yes.
If the Tau rode to the rescue here and in this moment, they would gain a powerful voice on their behalf, which is Calgar, who would be like, "No, these guys saved us. we do not need a crusade against them. Let's let them. We'll get to them eventually."
Let's put them on the lower part of the
Right?
tier of extermination.
Friend of Trader has a really good thing here. Tau would likely let the situation get worse. Yeah, they're very opportunistic. They would
Yes,
be
they
like,
would.
"Not now. Wait for it. Okay, now they need us the most. Let's go."
Yeah.
To preserve themselves and absorb a bunch of territory. Yeah, they definitely make this a land grab as well. Absolutely. That would probably be like part of the diplomatic discussions afterward. To be like, so now that we've helped you, first of all,
Yeah.
can we have an enclave in the 500 worlds? Second of all, we're expanding. We're taking these worlds. So our borders are going to move a little closer to you. You don't mind that, right? And Calgary's like,
We'll give you those, but don't go into Imperial space. You can go into the space beyond.
yeah, well, that's where all the Necrons are.
Yeah, that's not their problem.
Yeah, it's not this. Calgar's like, that's probably someone other than me.
Oh no, the Necrons destroyed the Tau. Oh dang it.
Yeah, so those are all fascinating ideas. I think the Blackstone Fortress is a really interesting idea because we don't need to know who's on it. It just shows up and does its thing.
We know the true MVP though.
The Tau and the Necrons are really fascinating. The Void Whales are the true MVP, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously. Because the Void Whales are doing it just out of the goodness of their whale hearts.
They just appeared and they're just like, I'm hungry. The Great Devourer got devoured.
So, chat,
Okay.
what do you guys think about the battle for Macragge and what would happen if the Ultramarines lost? Is it the end of the Imperium? Is it the beginning of a new chapter? Is it the rise of the Tau? Is it the end of the Tyranids as we know them? Like, what does it mean? I'm curious to see what you guys think, and we could put up a poll if we want to say, like, we could actually do that if you'd like. But what do you think, Alexis? How would you like to handle this?
I like the poll.
All
Don't
right.
clip that.
Please, God, don't clip that. All right. So what the question we're asking here is favorite outcome.
Yeah, favorite outcome.
Okay. And we've got 4 options. So first option is going to be what?
Tau Alliance.
Tau Alliance.
I really like the idea of the Tau just being like, don't. Okay, now help them.
Void Whale Cult.
The Void Whale Cult. Yep, we gotta put that there.
Void Whale Cult. All right. And 2 more. Ultramarines get a Blackstone Fortress.
I like the Plague War, the Nid Plague War.
Okay.
And then we have to have the last one being Ultramar's Destruction.
Okay. And I assume that's also basically the beginning of the end for the Imperium. So to be clear. All right. So the poll is up.
I don't think it it is a domino falling, but I think it's like teetering. It's like this, and you're just like,
well, keeping in mind the era Indomitus, that is a very important domino.
Yes. Well, like if the era Indominus doesn't happen, the Space Wolves are dead. Like they are gone. They have no more companies left. All of them are basically dead at this point. I think during the era Indominus, they had like 2, maybe 3 companies left.
Yeah, because they got the attack by Magnus and
the Dark Angel,
Fall of Cadia and Dark Angels.
And yeah, so they lost a ton. We would be looking at multiple dead chapters that never come back. The Scythes of the Emperor would also be gone. The Kakaradons would be gone.
Oh, Friend of Trader has a good point here. He says if all of Ultramar has fallen, the Genestealer cult proliferation would be wild. It would be.
Yeah. Well, not only that,
there would be Genestealer cults all throughout that segmentum.
Yeah. But the scarier part of Ultramar falling, 2/3 of Space Marine chapters would eventually die. They don't have Gene Seed.
Terra's got Gene Seed. It's and they make it on the moon too. So it's like it would severely limit growing that anymore. Let's put it that way. It wouldn't
like
be the
they
end.
would have to focus it.
Yeah.
And then they would have to, survive another Tyranid attack and then another Tyranid attack.
Lichlord Kier says, would the fall of Cadia 13th Black Crusade be the death blow? Probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably. That would be where the domino falls. I said it's a very important domino. Era Indomitus, which is starts with that fall of the Cadia, would just be. I feel like that's unrecoverable without.
And then you have the Psychic Awakening right after that.
Yeah, it's probably unrecoverable.
During it, yeah, you're screwed.
Moritz Vonderborch, love that name. Everyone likes Space Wolf saving the day, but the real plot twist would be the fall of Macragge. Agreed. That for the galaxy at large, the fall of Macragge would be earth shaking. Chaos would take notice. Eldar would take notice. Azrael Vecht on his throne, and Cormorag would be like, "Oh, that's weird. Something happened." Yeah, it would be wild. Have the Tyranids won yet? Yes. So did the Swarmlords eat Calgar like he deserved? Yes. So he had like giant arms. He got giant arms out of it.
Yeah, he had 4 biceps and he was running around just going, oh no to everyone.
All right, 30 seconds to close the poll. Sotek, welcome to the chat. Yeah, we've had a wild time talking about what could have possibly happened. We've involved Void Whales, we've involved Necrons, Eldar, we've involved a Blackstone Fortress. We've involved a never-ending plague war between the Death Guard and the Tyranid Hive fleets. It's getting wild. It's getting wild. I'm going to close the poll now. And the answers are yes, whales, Void Whales, they're a thing. Lore Master Sotek. You're probably going to get asked about them soon because Alexis thought it would be a great idea. They're the final version of the Fishmen, apparently, the final evolution.
This is actually canon. Ross has declared it, and thus it's canon now.
That's not how that works.
It is canon.
That's not how any of this works.
It is canon in Lorebeards now.
Favorite outcome is Void Whale cult, by the way.
Oh, can we get one more poll asking if this is a canon event in Lorebeards?
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. Are we making our own university?
Confused.
We're making our own timeline here, apparently. The Lorebeards timeline.
Strictly a Lorebeards timeline.
Okay, Lorebeards timeline outcome.
Yes and no.
And it's, is outcome canon ? All right. Yes and no are the two options starting the poll. I know what that answer is going to be. So, praise the Emperor's sacred whales, says Richie Chapman. So, we have a Void Whale cult. Chad has decided that the ultimate result of all of this is a Void Whale cult in Ultramar, where people venerate the great Void Whales. They're probably an aspect of the Emperor, like the Emperor as Lord of the Whales kind of thing. The Prince of Whales, you might even say.
Oh my God. This is absolutely terrific, and I love all of it.
Void Whales would soon become, I don't know, a delicacy. I'm sure, like several nobles in Ultramar would be like, "Oh, I only dine on the sacred flesh of the Void Whale."
Now, let me be clear. In Battlefleet Gothic, it is stated that you cannot eat a Void Whale. Even Orcs biology can't eat Void Whales. But they might do the Icelandic thing of peeing on it, burying it for a few months, forgetting it exists, digging it back up, Just stretching it out and then trying to eat it.
Does that make it taste better?
That's how fermented shark is eaten here. That's like one of the
Wow.
stories.
Remind me not to have any seafood in Iceland.
No, have seafood in Iceland. It's actually really good.
Not
Fermented shark is disgusting.
I was gonna say, not if it's made that way. No, thank you. I'm gonna have to say no to that. But Super
No,
Orlok,
that's the way it was originally made.
Super Alex says, "Hail to the whale." And Frederick Trader says, "And lo, the whales looked upon the shattered remains of the Imperium and said, 'This is good.'"
No, they said and moved on.
Oh my goodness! All right, so the poll, we're gonna have to, we're gonna end the poll here. And the answer is, of course, we always knew what the poll answer was going to be. Yes, it's canon for Lorebeards. Icelandic lutefisk.
Yep.
Or however you spell it. It's spelled with a
Close
K,
enough.
not a C, but yes. The non-fermented shark is toxic. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
All right. So, do you want to move on and check out some cool miniatures that our audience has painted up?
I do, but I do want to just briefly just savor the Void Whale cult idea in my brain of Ultramar having now monuments and statues and temples adorned with all kinds of symbols of void whales. Oh, it's important to point out that we have a giveaway coming up for Saturday. If you join us on our Saturday show, we have a kill team of scouts that we're giving away.
Space Marine Scouts.
That's right. So join us on Saturday if you'd like to be possibly included. We're going to have a means of one of you guys in chat winning this giveaway, and it will be shipped to you. So make sure to join us for that upcoming show. What is our upcoming show for Saturday? It is, let me see here. We've got the show notes written down. I'm a professional. I do this for a living. Our next show is going to be Who Are the Sisters of Battle?
Oh, yes, finally. Oh, I've been waiting for this.
So come to the Sisters of Battle one, stay for the giveaway.
Heck yeah.
All right, so that is going to lead us to the portion of our show where we talk about some of your paint jobs.
Heck yeah, let's
paint and miniatures. Oh, look at that boy. That's a is that an Eradicator? No, that's an Imperial Guardsman. That's a long las that he's got there. That's a sniper for the Astra Militarum or Trader Guard, maybe. He's got a spiky shoulder pad.
He does have a spiky shoulder pad. Whoops. Sorry.
Yep, it says Trader Guard. I was right.
Hang on. I got to bring this up so I could drag it over to the other screen so I can make sure I get all of the the names up.
That's a nicely painted Trader Guard. I would be proud of that if I were you. That's very good.
I absolutely love the Trader Guards.
The wrapping on the gun, the wrapping on the barrel is excellent. That's chef's kiss on the wrapping of the barrel.
I really like it. I like the Canteen's highlights on the side.
Agreed.
And the Cameline cloak we'll see better in the next picture.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Look at that.
Nice.
That looks really good.
So the greens are running together in a beautiful way that makes it look like camo. He's got the layered cloak there. Yeah, it's looking good. That looks really nice. That's who painted this?
This is done by Halo in the Discord.
Halo.
They have quite a few this week.
Hello, Halo.
And by quite a few, I mean 2.
Listen, those are very well painted, and you should be proud. Those look very nice.
Love it. Also, look at this base work.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Now we're talking. Ooh.
So, this is also done by Halo. This is a Death Guard Marine, and I absolutely love Death Guard Marines where they still look like they're oozing and in pain and everything, where they just look bloody and like a mess. This is also the old Death Guard color scheme, so I appreciate this even more. This is like heresy error.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I especially like the chest mouth, the belly mouth, if you will, with all the bloody teeth. And he's got the gums and roots painted differently, which I really, really like. That's extra attention to detail. This is a mini that you could probably put into a painting competition and at least place, if not win, because that looks very, very nice.
I like the blight grenade on the side.
Oh yeah, it's
where
beautiful.
It has the goo in the eyes. It's great.
That is excellent. Yeah. Very nice.
Next up, we have a very small Angron. I don't know why it's going to get blurry because I had to enlarge it, so my apologies. But this is done by Friend or Trader, a good person in the stream.
Oh yeah, friend or trader. We love having you stream. I'm going to say Blade Runner enhance.
This is as close as I can get it without it going too fuzzy. I like the gore on the axe going to the hand itself, and you can see even more gore, like it's stomped on somebody.
You don't see Angron very often with just bare metal looking armor, but that actually works on this model.
It works really well because
it contrasts with
where the face is.
It contrasts with the red and oranges on the face, and that yellow stripe right next to his eyes there is a good break point in between the two different sides of his halves of his skull, I guess you could say.
Now, I will say the face looks a lot better in the picture that isn't blown up like this. It looks really nice, but unfortunately, blowing it up has blurred a lot of the details on it. So my apologies.
The only thing I would say to make this stand out a little bit more would be the cables on the back of his head could use a little attention there to just to give him a different look than the armor, because right now they're getting a little lost in the armor.
Lost in that sauce.
But the wings look great. The axe looks great. Yeah, that's a solid model. Well done.
I do always find it funny that Gorechild and Gorefather, which are the two chain axes that he was using in the Heresy, and he discarded the one and then Karn picked it up. I always wondered, like, I assumed that Gorefather grew with him, but it would be really funny if, like, he was gigantic using this tiny little chain axe.
Well, they grew it when he became a demon. They kind of became part of his weapons. Keep in mind, Angron, like before he was a demon, didn't really give a shit about his weapons. He just was like, you guys name whatever you want. I'm just using them.
And once they broke, he discarded them, and picking up a discarded weapon was seen as unhonorable.
Well, it was,
Karn did it.
Yeah. Well, Karn was the winner of that one.
Yeah, he was.
Angron for the problem with Angron is, like, once he goes bad, all of his good qualities kind of go away. But he had some really good qualities before they went away. That's the problem. Then the Butcher's Nails is so tragic. Anyway, what do we got here? Ooh.
So this is done by Wendigo. This is a Tzeentchian cultist from not Underworlds, maybe Underworlds, maybe Warcry. One of the smaller game sets for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And I really, really like the skin tones and everything.
Oh, wait. Check out the non-metal metallics on the blade.
Oh, yeah. It looks fantastic. I like the blue glow and everything. He's even got it on the jewels and everything. And then in the second picture, you can actually see the highlights on the hair. I really like this. I like the two-toned bases. That's really nice.
That's slick. I agree. That's a very good model for Warcry. I think it's Warcry.
Yeah, it is. I think it's Warcry.
Wendigo says it's Warcry. I'm gonna say that he's probably right.
Yeah. And then we got a third picture of them.
Look at that butt.
Cool. Look at that booty. That booty. It's a good booty.
It's a really dynamic pose. This is one of the things about Age of Sigmar is, like, you get fantasy models with a lot more dynamic poses than than they used to be in fantasy, because they don't have to rank and flank anymore.
That's and one of the cool things about the Warcry miniatures and all of the Age of Sigmar miniature humans, specifically like the god-specific humans, they can all be used in 40k as either poxwalkers or your cultist variants, and they're super cool to use them because you get a variety out of it. And now this one doesn't have as much of a booty, unfortunately.
Redemptor.
Yeah.
Ultramarines Redemptor.
His booty's been redempted.
So to be clear, it's a good paint job, but this does not look finished to me.
No, it's probably American.
Har har. I think this is a whip. I just want to be clear. I feel like this is a whip and not finished, because there's no iconography or there's a lot of blank spaces there where you usually put like decals or stamps or something. But as it is, it's a very good start for adding those heraldic elements in.
I really like all the highlighting and everything. Looks
the highlights are immaculate, and the missiles are painted very, very nicely. I like them on either side of the chassis and on top. He's got that the little red sensor up there painted very well. This is an excellent model that is like 90% there. It needs those symbols, whether they're hand done or whether they're decal. I don't care, but it's got a lot of blank space that needs something.
All right, moving on from there, we have another typhus.
Oh my god! Wow,
I love brightly colored typhus.
that is a hell of a typhus. That is a wow. Yeah, I would enter this into a painting competition. This is serious.
Yeah, I love
Look,
all the tones on the handle and
yeah,
everything. It looks
look,
great.
look at the way the purple cloth is the same on the loincloth as it is on the chainmail under on his arms, his shoulders there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nicely done. But all the brass work I can still pick out from the chainmail on the
Yep.
loincloth. Oh,
I like the
bro.
highlights right down the middle. The highlights on the helmet
Mm-hmm.
look incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And the scythe looks really good. I like the worn look on the
Mm-hmm.
middle.
Look at
I
he's
like
got the extreme highlight on the edge of the blade there. It's very
yep.
nicely done.
I also like the brass rot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That looks super good. The
Yeah,
knuckling looks really good.
this is one hell of a model. Well done. And you can even see, like, if you look at the feet, there's a almost a texture that he added with the brush strokes. That's really neat.
Oh, yeah, this
And the
looks really
base and the base. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
This for me, this is a 10 out of 10. No notes.
Yep, I really like this. My only note is you forgot the flies again.
Well, who did this one?
This one is done by Halo as well.
Oh, this is a Halo.
So,
Oh, goddamn.
yeah, this week is Wendigo, Halo, and Friender Trader. And
Yeah.
then Friender Trader posted a. Oh, this is the back.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like this.
That is breathtaking. Well done.
And again, the rot on the armor is great. I love this.
Yeah.
Friender Trader reposted the Angron. Let's see if it. Oh, that looks way better.
Oh my god, yeah. What a
Now
change.
it's not tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, just so everyone can see a proper look at him, and he looks terrific.
Okay, so up close I can actually make out the difference between the cables and the armor. Like so I'm going to take that back.
Yeah.
That looks really good. I think so. So with that in mind, and with looking at this now, it works. It's 100% works. What I would add, where I might add something. You see all those teeth around the world on his shoulder pad and on the scar on his back. Those elements would be nice to bring out in brass or some other color. And if you in that he's got the band on his arm there too, be kind of that arm. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's where I would maybe do something to pick out those parts of the armor that might make it pop a little bit more. But it's damn good, bro. Damn good.
Yeah, I really like this. And then Halo popped in with a speed painted Abaddon.
Whoa!
So I'm assuming this was one using the speed paints and two painted very quickly.
So well, that's what I was gonna say. For people who don't know, speed painting is usually like what, an hour for one model?
Yeah,
at most. So he did this in probably about. Well, if you want to chime in and tell us how long this took you, I'd love to hear. But it's very nice, and you can see there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of really great color work for a speed paint. I
actually have to zoom out here. Yeah, let's do that. This is really nice. I really like the tones on the sword and everything. They said they just did it quick. So again, I'm assuming it's under an hour work. So this is incredible.
Yeah, and I drill out your bolters. I drill out the barrels on your bolter.
Never drill out your bolters.
It makes it look so much better, bro. I'm telling you.
It does. But I always find it funny when
2 hours, he says. 2 hours.
2 hours, not bad.
Yeah, that's very, very good for 2 hours of work.
When GW puts the sling of rounds that are supposed to go through the bolter, and it's like, yeah, he would use up all of this in like less than a second.
Yeah, it's literally just there for flavor.
Yeah. Like the actual bolt round would be much smaller compared to where it would go in, and he would have like
maybe it's listen, it's 40K. A wizard did it. He's got a demon in there. It's just making shells for fun. Yep. You know, it could happen. But yeah, that's really actually, you know, if you want to spend a little more time on this could be, you take this up to the level of your Plague Lord there, and it would be something else.
Yeah,
It looks great.
This is terrific. I
This
love this.
I would be proud to field this as is, to be clear. So
Yeah.
very nice.
All right, so that was all that we had for this week for miniatures. If you guys do want to add your miniatures to the show next time, which would be on Saturday, you can post them in the Lorebeards Discord under painted miniatures for 40K specifically, or send them to me directly, and I will try to get them onto the show.
Also, we had a community poll, and we have the results of that poll.
We do.
So, guys, guess what? Y'all voted for Tyranids. Our January 3rd show is going to be a feature on the Tyranids.
Heck yeah.
We're gonna be talking about the Nids in general, not just the Battle of Macragge. Although we will probably go back to this a couple of times, I'm sure, in that discussion of the Tyranids.
Yes, we will.
And I need to break out my my Forge World books about the origins of the Tyranids and read those again, because they're super fun. Super fun. The Hive Mind is coming, Micah says. You're right. It absolutely is. So, you guys, thank you so much for joining us to talk about the Battle for Macragge. The Void Whales were the big winners. Everybody else just kind of lost.
So, Ross, I gotta ask, did you see the Void Whales coming?
No, that was not at all. That was not even on my radar.
Where did you think this was gonna go versus where it went?
Well, I was telling my parents about this the other day, that we had that Space Marine Creative Space Marine chapter episode, and it was just so collaborative. Everybody was chipping in ideas, and we were, she's even got the Gorgon's Talons mini she's working on. Yep, check that out.
Sanded down the shield so that I could put the logo on it.
Nice.
And this is going to be the captain.
So the collaborative creation that we came up with there with the Gorgon's Tears. By the way, if you want to check it out, go check out our episode about Gorgon's Talons. Thank you. About creating Space Marine chapter, because it's very interesting. We came up with something vastly different than I had ever considered. The same is true for this Battle for Macragge. I liked seeing how chat responded in the thoughts and things they were throwing out, because in when you're talking about what ifs, it's a creative effort. It is not just spitballing. It's not just brainstorming. You're actually like coming up with like, well, how would this work? Why, when, where? You're answering a lot of really important questions that results in a creative effort. So I love it. I love the fact that it's stuff that I would have never thought of.
That's exactly where I'm sitting. Like these kinds of what ifs, it always gets to like the creative juices flowing, and it actually helps me as a struggling writer to think outside the box of like, hey, you need to go from A to B to C, and instead you could just be like, nah, let's throw him a curveball or something. Like this is why I love the What If series, because it gives us the chance to, like, if you're like DMing in a game of Dark Heresy, bring up the Void Whales. Like no one will expect that. Like
kind of like the Inquisition.
Yeah. I mean, even the Inquisition would struggle to think about them. They're the ones that surprise the Inquisition.
I mean, if it were just me on my own, and you're like, how would the Battle of Macragge go differently? I would have had the Swarmlord cut down Calgar just like you did. That's the most 40K thing to have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then the aftermath that would be the most interesting for me would be the Tau coming to the rescue for their own reasons. Can you imagine if that was their introduction to 40K, was the Tau riding to the rescue of the Ultramarines?
Oh my God, they would have been hated even more.
Would they be more hated, more accepted? Like there's definitely certain aspects of the fandom that would hate them more, because they're how dare you save the Ultramarines? But there's other sides of the fandom, I think, that would be like, oh, that's interesting. How unusual to have aliens help the Imperium that are not Eldar, because prior to the Tau, the Eldar were the only aliens you could really talk to and have, possible alliances with.
That is actually very true. You could, although if I was in charge of GW, I would relaunch the Tau with actual Gundams, like actual melee units. Like
beam sabers.
Like give them like freaking swords and like Just make them have a squad with sword and board. I don't care if it doesn't make sense for their fighting style. Just let them do it at this point.
I mean, beam sabers are a thing.
Yep.
And I mean, I might go actually to a slightly different anime inspiration and do something Bubblegum Crisis with not crisis suits, but more like the suits that the scouts, sorry, the stealth units wear. What are those guys called?
I have no idea.
Stealth suits. I think they were just called stealth suits for a long time. More along the lines of the stealth suit idea, with different types of weapons and different types of propulsion, and make them the melee unit. That would be, because because the Tau, one of their approaches to war, the Kauyon, the patient hunter, is all about stealth and is all about striking from ambush. So you can, in my head, I'm imagining these stealth suits armed with like power blades and stuff like that.
Well, like, if they're coming to the rescue of the Imperium, they're gonna run out of bullets. They need a melee weapon.
Well, their bullets are kind of energy bullets, though, right? I mean, they're almost
they're
like
gonna run out of power. Give them a sword. Insert reason to put a sword in their hands.
Well, Farsight does carry a sword, to be clear. He's like the one guy.
Yeah, he's the one cool.
Oshova,
but we used to have like the Inaugur Gauntlet and other melee weapons, like
that's still
take their
latest
fusion
codex
weapon and turn it into a blade.
The latest codex does have a close combat fist weapon for it's one of the relics, if I remember right.
Yeah, but I mean, I want their fusion sword to come back,
like a Halo blade or like a Mass Effect blade. That would be pretty sweet.
That's what they had back in like I think it was 5th or 6th edition, where they had if you took the fusion gun, you could actually use it in melee as a weapon, and like it was a blade of just Melta. And yeah.
Insert Corey there says, give the Tau armored cores.
Yes.
All right. So
better yet, give them Zoids.
Oh my God, Zoids. Oh my God. Wow. That's my childhood there. Woo. Anyway, this has been a hell of a story talking about what would happen at the Battle of Macragge. And I think we had a great show. I really enjoyed it. We'll look forward to seeing you guys hopefully soon on Saturday. Don't forget, we're going to do a giveaway for a kill team of scouts. That's right. And on January 3rd, we'll be talking about Tyranids. And that's all because of your choices. So come check us out. And we do appreciate the support. You guys have been keeping us going. We've actually been told that our numbers are good. So more Lorebeards are in the future for y'all.
Heck yeah.
More Lorebeards 40K. We're all excited to be part of it. Oh, wait. Professor Shapp. I swear there is a scene with Farsight that really feels like Char Aznable from Gundam saluting Space Marines during the Damocles Crusade and being a worthy opponent. Felt very cool. Yeah. That is Oshova is that kind of guy. It is a little bit Char, yeah. Oshova's counterattack. Anybody? Farsight's counterattack? That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, beam sabers would be kind of neat as a Tau weapon. There's some kind of fusion blade. Totally not a lightsaber, legally distinct.
Actually, hear me out on this. You give them a Naginata.
More Asian inspired. Yeah.
The pole weapons, like give them something cool.
Yeah. Well, in Gundam Wing, there's a pole arm trident, so that's kind of cool. So I am also an anime fan. If you guys ever want to talk about anime, hit me up. But that's it for this episode of Lorebeards, and we'll see you guys in the future because we're going to do a lot more shows.
And remember, in the grim darkness of the far future,
there is only lore. Oh, I get to do it this time. I love it. All right, you guys. That's it.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.